Radio.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Nintendo Prime Podcast, Season 2, Episode 42. We got a jam-packed show today, full pack of 6 here. Or is it supposed to be a full 6-pack? I have no idea. Whatever we used to call it.
I got a 6-pack.
Yeah, something like, I don't know. I should go grab a 6-pack quick. I might need it. All right, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. We're going to start our podcast the way we do every single time. Go around the room, introduce ourselves, and say, what have we been playing lately? We'll kick her over to Eric since he's right next to me. What have you been playing lately, bud?
I don't think I touched anything this week.
You might be muted.
I am muted. Cool. Nice.
There you go.
Thank you. I don't think I actually touched anything this week. Unfortunately, I just was not feeling good the last week or so. So it was, just sleeping mostly.
Sleep. Hey, you did bring me an Xbox.
I did.
So now I've got 2 Xboxes. What? This is I can't handle this much power.
Right.
Could have a party.
Yeah, right. The PS5, the 2 Xboxes, and the Switch went into a room. Anyways, we've got Review Horse USA is here with us. First time ever. How's it going, bud?
What's up, gentlemen? How are you? And I actually forgot. I almost what the hell have I played recently? I just beat Dead Island 2 like a week ago. It is a really good game. I would not sleep on it. I know there's a lot of games that came out in 2023, but it is good.
That's good. Yes. Next up, we have Andres Restart. How's it going, buddy? What have you been playing lately?
I'm pretty good. What have I played lately? Well, I am confirming that I'm a fake gamer. All I've played this last week is Pokemon Showdown on Google Chrome and Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. That is it.
Also on.
They say that to me all the time. Don't feel bad.
Yeah. Oh well. Okay. So Master Duel I could play on my computer, but I actually have been playing it on my Switch. But sometimes I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Nexus, which is kind of like Pokemon Showdown. It's a simulator on Google Chrome. However, I will be playing Mario Wonder probably tonight. Actually, yeah.
Hey,
So
it's
I'm
not
ready for
about
that.
where you play. It's just that you play.
Yeah, it's about having fun. Like this walled garden that some people like. Oh, if you don't play a From Software game for 300 hours a week, you're not a real gamer. Yeah, stop.
Hot take. From Software games are really good. There's some like outside of Nintendo, From Software games and Capcom, like those are like my favorite like go-to like developers outside of Nintendo.
Great.
But I don't really. Yes, From Software games, I like them because they're challenging. I like challenging games, but I don't really think they're like the toughest games out there. And I think some people kind of think that if you can play a From Software game, you're like a hardcore gamer.
Well,
like
I think like From Software games are the toughest games to the casual gamer crowd.
they're
like they're like
tough
the
for
most
the mainstream.
mainstream of the ultra hard games. You know what I
What
mean?
would you consider? I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. What would you consider something that would be tougher than? I'm just curious. I'm not asking.
Oh yeah.
for it.
I'm not saying it's a long list, but F-Zero GX.
Look, it actually is
go.
hard. The later parts of it are pretty hard.
That's the
Yeah,
GameCube
like you
one,
might
right?
be able to do normal mode, but
Yeah,
like
it's
there's a
GameCube.
hard and there's a very hard, and you'll never unlock the AX tracks unless you find the AX arcade cabinet.
And
Otherwise,
that was produced by Sega, wasn't it?
yeah,
I think they
Yeah.
developed it, right?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
developed it. And Nintendo published it. I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
They've always
Sweet.
been good at making fast games. Yeah, but F-Zero GX, like that's a hard game. It's unfairly hard.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
you
go
might
back
say
and
it's
play
the
that
Dark
again.
Souls of racing games.
Here we go.
Here we go. Let's
It's
go. Good.
so it begins.
Context: last week I made a video saying that Mario Wonder is a Dark Souls of 2D Mario games.
Remember when
I
every
haven't
first
played it
person
yet.
remember when every first person shooter was a Doom clone? Didn't matter what it was like. There was a
Oh,
time
it's all
that
Doom.
every shooter was a Doom clone.
Then it was all Halo. Now call it COD, and now Fortnite, and now it's just everything is just copying each other. It is what it is.
Yeah. By the way, just to clarify, I don't actually think Mario Wonder is going to be really hard. I think it's going to be kind of like about the same level. Like there's a challenge if you look forward towards the end, but it was more so about the online
Yeah.
elements that are similar to a lot of Soulsborne games.
I heard one of
Okay,
the
that
final
actually makes
stages
sense.
in it. I heard one of the final stages in it.
Isn't there like 6,000 games coming out this week? I know there's
Oh,
Lords of the Fallen, which actually looks kind of up my alley. Then there's Spider-Man.
I heard
Then-
that's really, really hard.
Is it? I heard it's not as hard as other Souls games, and that's pissing people off.
Oh, really? My
Yeah.
friend, who's like a die-hard Souls game person, got a review copy, and he said like the bosses in that game have kicked his ass, like even the first boss more than Elden Ring did.
Oh, now my butthole's puckering.
well, there we go.
That is that.
Hey,
oh,
gave it
let's-
clean.
Yeah, I'm still trying to play Liza P right now. So
yeah,
um,
and that's good. I just haven't had time.
yeah.
Mhm.
So RGT, buddy, welcome to the show. First time on the podcast. What have you been playing lately? Or should I say Hulkamania? What have you been
Well,
playing
let me
lately?
tell you something, brother. I've been playing the new Sonic Superstars game, Jack. And I think that the ratings on this game are a little too low for what it does for the 2D platformers when it comes to Sonic the Hedgehog, dude. It's a really good game, and I'm not quite sure why it's sitting at a 75 on Metacritic. I also played that steaming pile of cow dung known as Kong Skull Island, dude. And let me tell you something, brother. It's not a good game, Jack. It's something that I would recommend nobody play. Not even my arch nemesis, the Iron Sheik, brother.
Wow, that was actually a pretty
That's
solid
awesome.
impression. Holy
Wow.
shit!
Well, I
Damn
did.
good.
Holy sugar!
He just
I'm
did a
sorry.
video on it. He's big into wrestling. This is his costume. He's got to get ready. He's got a whole day coming up where he's going to talk probably all.
Wait, I have a
Yeah.
question about the Sonic game actually.
Okay.
Is anyone here familiar with who Pete Dorr is on YouTube?
Oh
Yes.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so he just dropped a review on that Sonic game, and he said it was a cash grab. And I respect his opinion a lot. So it's
I mean-
weird that some people like it so much, and then he said that. I haven't played it yet, so I don't know.
It's a 2D Sonic game. There's if you like Sonic CD, which is my favorite Sonic game.
Okay.
I think people will like it because it's not just left to right. Like I don't fucking understand what people can I cuss on here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, go for it.
Yes.
I don't understand what people want from a 2D Sonic game. Like this is as someone who's been playing Sonic games since the first game on the Genesis, this is exactly what I wanted. It takes the formula, it freshens it up a little bit. There's end game content, there's some interesting kind of fun online stuff, but like it's a really well done Sonic game. And you're not going to get all the Chaos Emeralds, you're not going to get all the hidden stuff on your first playthrough because you get abilities as you play through the game. So the Chaos Emeralds are essentially these new abilities that you get. So you're not going to have 7 Chaos Emeralds in the first few levels of the game. So you're encouraged to go back and go through those levels. There's a million different paths. There's a million hidden things in there. It's a real is it a 10 out of 10? No, but I think it's a solid 8+. You
Can
know,
from
I
what
gotta
you,
play for
I haven't
myself.
paid attention to the reviews, but like, why is it that Sonic Mania has reviewed higher than this game? What do you think? Is
nostalgia
it
and,
just
and price.
Mm.
Well,
What is the
Okay.
what is the
It
price
is $60,
of this,
right?
Yeah, it's a full price game.
Was Sonic Mania 20 digitally?
It was
think so.
30. I want to say it
Okay.
was 30.
Okay.
How many hours is it?
Okay, so when you beat the game, you actually unlock another character that has their own story. So you go through and play it again. I have not finished that part. You know, it's not super long if you don't get stuck on a boss, but some people don't like the boss battles. The only boss battle where I was kind of like, this is kind of annoying is the last boss battle, just because it's a bit more challenging than the other ones. At least for me, it was figuring out the patterns and stuff like that. You could get through it in like probably 4 or 5 hours if you're just rushing through it. You don't care about the chaos emeralds or, you know, looking through the levels and stuff like that. But then you still have that end game content. If you have people to
that
play
was one of his sticking points too. He said he beat it in 4 hours, but I'm sure that's just the base content.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, if it's highly replayable, like that's fine.
exactly. There's
You can beat
tons-
Metroid Dread in like 3 or 4 hours. It doesn't mean it's a bad game. Oh,
Right.
play it again.
That game fisted me.
I'd rather have a 4-hour
One or
game
two.
that's
One or two.
that's all quality
Two.
content that I have so much fun with. I'm willing to go back to it.
right.
And you
That's
And plus,
even
if
a
you have
20-hour
people,
game, it's loaded.
if you have people to play it with locally, there's modes for local multiplayer, and then there's modes for online stuff, which is like it's only 8 people, but it's a lot like a battle royale style thing where like one of the levels you're shooting at each other trying to, and another level you're getting more stars than the other people in the level. Another level was just like avoid these incoming bombs so you don't die. Like I think it has a good amount of content for a 2D platformer.
I think
that sounds cool.
problem is that we're so goddamn used to them putting so much filler in these games to make the price justified that when a game actually just cuts out all the fat and just makes a game that's good and have it to be the length it should be and not longer, everyone's like, oh my God, there isn't 6,000 useless things to do. This was a waste of my money. Was it really though? Were you going to do all those 6,000 things? You know what I mean? And
Yeah, here my thing is like, listen, make it if you want to make a game like that, make it good. Make it like Baldur's Gate 3. But if you're not going to go all out like that, make it as short as it needs to be without becoming a chore to the player.
To do association with furry. Yeah, but you don't have to be a furry to enjoy it. I'm going to probably play the Sonic game and buy it, Sexy Coco. I love how I argue with him like he's actually a real person.
Yeah, right.
I mean, realistically, if you wait
Hey, he's a doctor, man.
3-4 weeks, it'll probably be $40. So,
That's probably what I'll do.
but if you're a Sonic fan, like, yeah, that's definitely a really fun game.
I will
Ah,
Do you,
point
do
out.
you think they'll
on
discount it as
the,
early as Black Friday?
Probably.
Man, I
If
should
you
have probably
don't want to
picked it
buy
up,
the
so I
new
would've
Sonic
needed
game
more.
yet, Sonic Mania is $10 on the Switch eShop. It's on sale. So
No,
I
there
mean,
you go.
that's a good deal if you haven't played it.
That's a
Yeah.
damn good deal. You know what other game was good and people kind of slept on and hated on? The new Double Dragon. I liked it. To beat him
Yeah, it
up.
was good.
I heard good things about it. I didn't play that either.
I heard mixed things about it, so I went into it and I was like, yeah, and I was
Okay.
like, oh, this is kind of growing on me. I like it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, and Brian C. there brought up just a quick point too that maybe the score was a little bit hurt because reviewers are playing Mario Wonder maybe at the same time. Who knows? Sonic
That's actually a fair
games get
point.
weird reviews. Like if you look at them, they're always like mid 70s or mid 80s, and that's it. And it's all over the place. And when I see people talk about all of them, I mean, we had to have them with Frontiers as well. It's so like all over the place the way people think about. I don't even know if the Sonic fans know what they want Sonic to be. That's kind of my conclusion.
You just took the words out of my mouth.
I don't think.
I
they
mean,
do.
I'll be honest. The only reason I haven't bought Sonic Superstars is because it's $60.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I won't eventually buy it, right? I just, limited time, limited income, right? I'm gonna buy Mario Wonder this week. But if this game's discounted a couple months down the road, I probably will buy this because I'm a Sonic fan, and this is kind of like for me, like when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is like the ideal Sonic game. So I'm actually very ready for this. I will say, I don't even personally think like a 75 is a bad score because that's Metacritic, right? So like you have the outliers. So I always feel like, like if you look at the Metacritic score, if it's a 75, that's accounting for people who are just pissing on the game and kind of like dragging the score down a little bit. So to me that, you round that up. It's an 8 out of 10 kind of game, which I think is fair for like just,
What's the critic
Sonic
score average? The critic score average on it?
Metacritic
75.
70 right now.
I've
but I
noticed-
Googled it. It's 75.
Human
75,
nature,
yeah.
I've kind of noticed. The consumer, I kind of noticed. Like once it's below 8, their brain
Yes.
walks out the door. It's like,
Exactly.
it's so
Yeah.
it sucks because
For
there's
me,
a lot of good
A
games. that
7
people
out of
put
10
out.
game is still an enjoyable game.
Yeah, it's
I've
a good
played
game.
Many 7 out
Yeah.
of 10 games.
It's because scoring. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. It's just especially if it's like a franchise that you're a fan of, or just you just like whatever it's based on. You can still get a ton of enjoyment out of 6 out of 10 game.
True.
If it's the right niche, if it's the right genre for you.
I always say it's like me basing what movies I enjoy off Rotten Tomatoes.
Which are paid reviews.
Yeah, no doubt, busted for that.
For me, the Metacritic reviews are really good for just setting my expectations.
Yeah.
But like, if I want to play a Sonic game and I see this is rated 75 out of 100, I'm going to expect 7, 8 out of 10 game, and then I'm going to have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah,
As
problem-
opposed to expecting, I'm expecting a lot from Mario Wonder.
Here is the problem I've noticed, whether it's because I also really am into like audio tech and stuff like that too, whether it's a game review or audio tech review. Not going to name any names, but there's a cassette deck it's called We Are Rewind, and everyone was complaining about something with it. I won't even go into specifics, but they didn't look into the feature, and it automatically does what they were complaining about. So there was literally dozens upon dozens of reviews putting out misinformation about it. And that's one of the things I've noticed with reviews too, is that a lot of times they may rate a game poorly because they missed something or they missed the point,
expected to be something it never.
and it's
promised to be.
irresponsible,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
Yeah, happens a lot.
Watch-
Jake, what have you been playing lately, bud?
For those that were here last week, I told you guys I was replaying Pokemon Heart Gold, and I've still just been playing that. And I meant to play Miles Morales because I've never played it yet, and I need to catch up. But
What?
I
You
figure I
haven't played
could do
Miles
that.
Morales yet? What?
No, I figure I could do that in a day. I know it's
Well,
not that
fake
long.
gamer.
Yeah, it's like
Fake
15
gamer.
hours, maybe. Yeah, a little less. Depends.
I heard it was like way less than that.
Well, yeah, if you power through it, I took my time. But
I heard it takes like 6 hours.
see,
And
you're someone who is planning to platinum like Spider-Man 2 in like 25, 30 hours or whatever. So
Yeah, that's true.
you're a little
was-
bit more hardcore playing it.
I heard the
than
second one takes longer to platinum than the first one, but
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I've been
anyways, yeah,
platinum
I've just been
either of them.
stuck on Pokemon, and I've been so busy I haven't like really gotten to a place where I feel like, all right, I can sit down and play Miles Morales. So I gotta do that this weekend.
I'm just so excited and biting my nails in anticipation for the PlayStation 5 Slim so I could buy a vertical stand for it that was included with the original versions of the console.
Yeah.
You know what I realized about that no one talked about, that I realized after the fact, is I don't know who would actually want to do this. It's going to be very few people, but if you bought the disc and then say, oh, I'm not using my discs, I want to take off the drive and just for aesthetics make it a Slim, it doesn't come with the other plate to make it into a Slim.
Nope.
So you'd have to buy a new set of plates to go from disc to digital too,
Which
or
are
leave it
also like
uncovered.
minimum 50.
Again, that's going to affect like 0.1% of people, but still, it's just another thing.
And the $1 million question, like I was saying in a couple of my videos, why does the Slim exist now when it's only $50 cheaper? And if you have to buy the drive separately, it actually makes it more expensive than just
Right.
buying the PlayStation 5 Slim with the drive to begin with. What were they thinking?
Well, it'll
Yeah,
probably come down to
it's so dumb.
availability.
The only thing I like about this is I wish they would have done it starting with the PS2, is the fact that if your disk drive ever breaks, you can replace
Yes.
it.
hot
easily.
swappable.
Yeah.
Disk drives, yeah.
That's something that all
That's
companies should have done long ago, I think.
And you know what? I used to complain about this, but hindsight being 2020, I was wrong. You know what? Microsoft, I actually miss external power supplies, because if the power supply breaks when it's external, you just have to go replace it with the new one. Now, if it breaks, you have to actually take apart the console and repair
I
it.
hope it didn't break anything else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is
good point.
true too.
Yeah. All right. As for myself, I played a little bit of Tears of the Kingdom. I downloaded Lies of P. That's why I brought it up earlier, but I haven't actually started it because I know when I first play it, I want a good 5-6 hour play session with that one. and I got to find my slot to get that in. But I've heard so many good things about it, so I really want to get that in. And then that's pretty much been it for the last week. I didn't play a whole lot. I almost got Sonic Superstars, and then I realized I already am getting Wonder and Spider-Man 2. We gotta slow down a bit. I don't need to drop like $200+ in a week.
It's out of control.
It's a good problem though.
I'll pick
It
it
is the
up.
holidays.
And this is what
sort
I
of.
figured. As our, Sean brought up earlier, hey, it's gonna be, like half off in a month or something. So
Probably $40.
yeah, so like when there's a time when I don't have as much to play, like hey, it's probably gonna end up being cheaper for me to grab it then, and it's not something I'll probably get done in a day or two, and that's totally cool. Like I'm really good with that. Anyways, so we can get into our first topic of the day. We got a couple topics, and then just for people who are here, our final topic is actually just like a Q&A section for the audience. If you can get your questions in anytime you want, if you have questions, you just super chat $2 or more. It banks it up on our back end, and then I can just feature it during that. And questions can be for anyone. It can be for one person, all of us. It doesn't really matter. Whatever topics you guys bring up. But our first topic, we're just talking about Mario Wonder a little bit. Obviously, it's not out yet. So there isn't, like we deep dive on our deep-seated opinions on the game and all of that. But there has been some things like it's a 93 right now on Metacritic, which is pretty crazy. I don't know that I expected it to be this high because we haven't had a side-scrolling Mario game hit that high in over 30 years.
That's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
What was it? Super Mario World was the last one?
Yes.
That blows my mind. That's my favorite 2D Mario game, and that game came out before I was born.
Wow.
I'm old. I was.
Yeah. I'm
I
like,
was
you just
just
made me
barely.
feel old
Just
too.
for the
You just aged me.
It
I
came out
was
right
10.
before I was born in America.
You just made me feel.
What year did it come out? Was it 94?
It came out in
91.
1990 in Japan, but 91 in
I
America.
got a Christmas.
Oh man,
in
I was
91.
born in 91.
I had a mullet
We're
in
in
91.
the same birth year.
Jesus.
I literally had a mullet, and
Like
I was playing. Dude, that was such a great game. That was when you got pack-in games. I mean, they come later on with bundles as the console gets older, but that was when it launched. They came with the game. That's OG. Long time ago when they did that.
Yeah, man. So for Mario Wonder, like I didn't know that it was going to do this. Like the highest we've had in the last 30 years was actually New Super Mario Brothers on DS. I think it hit 89. Because one thing I never really considered about this game and is that people were saying even in the previews and out of the reviews are out, it's sort of spun around is that it could be a game of the year type level contender. And I don't know. I mean,
Depending on the year?
depends on, and it also depends on whose awards are we talking about. Like the Jeff Keighley awards are not the only game of the year awards out there. So it's just like, what do you guys say? It's hard to say, like, do we think it deserves it? Because obviously, we got to actually play the damn thing. And I don't know if anyone here has review copies. Nintendo's told me we'll give it to you on Friday. Okay, cool. Thanks, Nintendo.
I have.
Oh, you're getting it? That's more.
Yeah.
They're not. They don't send me shit.
Yeah, they just.
I have
That's crazy. You're like the
Friday.
biggest Nintendo YouTuber. What the heck?
No, he's not a Nintendo. That's the problem. He's not a Nintendo YouTuber.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that is the problem.
Emulation YouTuber.
I have.
That's exactly why they don't give
No,
it.
he's the new king of PlayStation YouTubers.
That's true.
Nate, but did you put in a request, or did they just send it to you without asking?
I literally asked like 2 days ago. I wasn't even thinking about it.
Damn it! I should have asked.
And then I was just like, hey, can I get this? And they're like, yeah, we'll send you one Friday. Cool.
I sent Shigeru Miyamoto nudes, and he said no. He wasn't down. He was just-
You ask and they say no, it's whatever. Like, I don't really care. But it's cool. So I just, for me, I don't have a lot to say about the review score stuff other than I am surprised it's a 93. And what it has done is taken what I just expect. Like my expectations for it were more similar to like Sonic Superstars, where it's like, this is just going to be a fun to play side-scrolling Mario game. And it looks inventive. It's got some voice acting, some crazy stuff. That's the game's gimmick. And now when I see 93 going into it, it has altered my expectation to be like, okay, I haven't expected a side-scrolling game to give me Super Mario World vibes since I was a kid. So now I'm sort of going into this being like, dude, this better be one of the best things I've played since I was a kid for Mario. So I don't know. Has it changed any of your guys' thoughts going in, or you just like, screw it, it's Mario, I love it or I don't?
I'm just going to enjoy it and not give a crap about the scores.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
for me personally, I wasn't super excited for it, but like I was looking forward to it. I'm like, all right, 2D Mario is always solid. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna beat it. I'm gonna have fun. But when the scores started dropping, and all that stuff about it being a similar experience as to when Super Mario World came out, all that stuff, I started to get a lot more excited for it for sure.
yeah.
I was very
go
surprised
ahead.
with the scores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would be a 93, and I haven't read any of the reviews or anything, but I'm very interested to see like what's so different about it, because like from what from the trailers, it's like, oh, kind of like Jake was saying, looks like a fun 2D Mario game.
Yeah.
Nothing really reinventing the wheel. So yeah, it's piqued my curiosity, I would say, more so to play it. But now I do feel like there is a certain level of expectation to where it's like, okay, well, this is obviously doing something really crazy and really, really different and really unique in the 2D platforming genre to make it, and I'm not trying to say that there's a potential bias.
Well, I was
towards
actually
it.
going to ask you that. Like, do you have some skepticism? Like, maybe it is hype from the movie.
I mean,
reviewers just being so excited.
There's always going to be franchise. It's not just Nintendo franchises. There's pretty much every company, except for Xbox. Every company has their flagship titles. Like a God of War. A God of War is always going to be a mid to high 9. You know what I'm saying? A Legend of Zelda mainline game. It's always going to be a mid to high 9, if not above that.
Grand Theft Auto, like there's always so much behind those. Like every time it comes out, it's like it's a historically reviewable game.
Well,
Exactly.
God of War Ascension wasn't really praised.
But we've been getting 2D Marios for the last 2 decades, and none of them have experienced that. They've all been consistently, I'd say, more like mid 8.
Yeah,
it's
but
mid-80s.
but that was also, look at like, okay, so like New Super Mario Brothers U and New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe. I think those games are the most mediocre fucking games in the world, and I think most people think that. Yet they still score better.
91.
Yeah, like
Look at 91 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the deluxe version was like an 87 or something, and it's like that just seems so high for a game that
is just adequate.
Yeah, so I think people get excited when they review stuff. Like, I get it, and I always expect there to be, some high scores for storied franchise titles. So, I'm not trying to take away anything from the game or anything like that. I'm sure the chat is very upset with me, but I'm just saying I'm sort of keeping that in mind going into the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am expecting now my level of expectation is much higher because this is the best one since Super Mario World, and it's like, well, you better bring some shit to the table then that I haven't seen in a 2D platforming game, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel the same way.
I'm just like looking up Metacritic scores for everything right now. Like, so, I mean, every Mario game is always reviews well, right? Like Mario, like for example, like Sonic Superstars, if that was like a Nintendo published title, I bet it would get like a couple extra little points just because like there's like this trust in like Nintendo quality versus Sega quality. But like looking at like Mario Bros. U on the Wii U, Metacritic 84, on Switch 80. But we look at it's. I mean, I think it's good, but it's nothing like amazing, right? It's just all right. This is kind of like it is what it is. It's very cookie cutter. But what we're looking at for Mario Wonder in 93, like that's a cut above, right? Like we're talking about like one of the most highest rated Switch games, period. It's like in the top 20, I think maybe even top 15. It's very high.
When I think about it a little bit, like it was 15 years from Mario World to New Super Mario Brothers DS, right? So they went 15 years without a real
Side
2D
scroll.
Mario game, unless you count like GBA ports and stuff.
But people count Yoshi's Island, and they're
Yeah.
weirdos.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's like
its own
Super Mario World
thing.
2 pretty
That's
much.
its
Yeah.
own
I-
thing.
Gets on my nerves.
Come on.
I say that it's its own thing, and I say it's crap too because of the crying Mario. Baby.
Oh, the crying.
Oh,
Mario. Yeah.
I would need a Xanax to try to play through that shit.
Do we count Mario Maker?
Well, that's the thing, because like starting
don't
from the
think so.
DS, they made them, but they were exclusively for their handheld consoles. Then the first time they ever focused on a 2D Mario for like a home console was kind of Mario Maker 2, but that wasn't really the traditional Mario game. So this is honestly like the first one they've made for a home console, and maybe that's why it has more polish. Maybe that's enough to boost the review scores up. Maybe it's just a really fun game. I don't know.
Well, you had the new Super Mario Brothers series. You
Yeah,
know?
I was talking
New
about
Super
that.
Mario Brothers.
Oh
Wii.
yeah.
But the original release was on DS, right? So like,
Right.
and then it became a series, and we saw some home console
Yeah.
versions. But yeah, the initial design was for
Right.
DS.
Yeah.
I was reading the Ask Developer interviews for Mario Bros. I love that Nintendo's doing those again. Like every time they have a major like internal project, they put that out, and there's always a lot of like really interesting details. And just kind of like reading some of the things that about this game, like they actually talked about how they were looking at people like us, kind of saying, "Oh, now that they've made Mario Maker, how are they going to be able to make a brand new sort of 2D Mario?" Like I remember thinking, especially with Mario Maker 2, okay, they put themselves against the wall. How are they going to actually make like a 2D Mario game that feels worth it? But it looks like they did. Like they found a way to do it. But apparently some of their own developers were not sure they were going to be able to come up with enough ideas. But they put a team together and they compiled apparently like 2,000 different ideas, and they
Yeah,
came up with
that's
this
the other
whole
thing.
wonder
Like, how many
idea.
times can you reinvent the wheel? Like, there's got to be a certain point where it kind of runs dry. But you're right. I guess they found some way to make it fresh.
This becomes an existential crisis for me.
Well, that's. I mean, the hope. I mean, that's the thing. I try not to let review scores affect what I think about a game going in, but it's always one of those. Look, it hasn't reviewed this high pretty much since I played Mario World as a kid. That is insane to me, and so it does put this thing in my brain that I'm like, you know what, this better not just be the run of the mill. Like I know it's got some cool features, but I've only seen a few stages. Nothing looks too crazy, but in reading the reviews, it sounds like it can get crazy, and so I'm like, okay, well, I want unexpected things to happen, and
Yeah.
that's really what I don't know if it is going to actually be there. Like I understand there's things that, oh, Mario's never done this, Mario's never done that. Yeah, but I sort of like as the level's going, I know that's going to happen.
I think I know why this game's better than previous 2D Mario games, supposedly. And I think it just comes down to Nintendo being in a situation now where they haven't really been in a long time, where they can afford to take their time with a whole bunch of different projects and kind of sit on them and just quality control. Because apparently Mario Bros. Wonder, they went into that project without a deadline.
Yeah.
And that's not something Nintendo had really. I mean, obviously Nintendo historically, like what's that famous quote from Miyamoto that has been bastardized and maybe not even true, that a delayed game is eventually good, but a rush game is forever bad or something. Like
Whether it's
that's
true
always
or
been
not,
said
it's
about
accurate.
Nintendo,
Mhm.
especially now with DLC and patches. But
Duke Nukem Forever.
Dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun.
yeah, development hell for that one.
point
Yeah,
is
right.
now though with Nintendo's
game did not
development
turn out.
ecosystem, like they have so many different projects that are kind of ready well ahead of time, and they have games that they'll give it an extra year if they want to, just to make sure it's as good as can be. So I think that's why Mario Wonder is as good as it is, because Nintendo wasn't in a position where they had to rush out a 2D Mario game just to make sure they get 30 million in sales like throughout the generation. This is the end of the Switch generation. They could have pumped that thing out way sooner, but they didn't. They just sat on it, and here we are with this game that apparently is like the best one in 30 years.
Well, this will let me know if Nintendo's did a good job marketing this game. Eric, are you buying Mario Wonder? You're a Mario fan.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I'm gonna pick it up right away.
Oh, no.
but no,
They didn't do a good enough job.
No, they did. I'm gonna get it. It's just I don't play enough games right
But-
now the way it is. So,
But if it was 3D Mario,
not even then, I don't have the time right now, and
Oh,
I
wow,
just
okay.
I'd much rather finish Tears of the Kingdom.
that's true. You
And
still haven't
I
finished
still have
that.
to finish that. So it's why spend the money right
Yeah,
this
right.
second?
I hear you.
And I mean, maybe I could pick it up on a sale. And Nintendo probably not. But yeah, right.
It'll be $70 in a
oh, yeah.
deluxe version on
Oh, yeah,
Switch too
for sure.
before you see this
Oh,
thing
100%.
less than 60 anywhere.
Yeah. To me, honestly, though, I don't ever look at review scores unless we are talking about them on here on the podcast. And so, honestly, I'm more surprised that more Marios aren't above 90 than this one being at or above 90.
Well, 3D ones
completely
typically
honest.
are.
Yeah, the 3D
just-
ones always seem to
yeah.
be above 90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just, to me, it would figure Mario being who Mario is would, review better than, that bias being Mario. Yeah.
Bias.
So I'm actually kind of more surprised than that it is that more aren't a 90 than I am that this one is a 90 per se. Because I don't look at review scores ever.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't even know what else I had for notes on this one. I guess you got any thoughts on how Nintendo keeps recapturing the magic with Mario, or do they not keep recapturing it? And it's just people hold on because of nostalgia.
No. If
I mean, I don't think it's this. I mean, there is nostalgia with Mario, obviously, but they're always good.
If it was,
I mean, it's deserved.
If it was just nostalgia, they'd be in the same boat as Tommy Tallarico right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
or
he-
countless other.
He tried to ride the wave of lies and nostalgia into putting money in his pocket, and now he's on the run doing conducting orchestras in different countries.
I mean, if you want to look at a
Is that what he's
game
actually doing?
franchise
Yes,
that relies too heavily on nostalgia over quality, I mean, look at Pokemon.
Hmm.
Oh,
That's what happens when nostalgia is carrying it.
Yet people still buy them.
I love them. I still love Scarlet and
Hey,
Violet.
the
Day one,
Legend,
baby.
Legends
There
was
you
the
go.
bomb. The rest suck.
You're
Yeah, I
the
know
problem,
what it is.
motherfucker.
I mean, I recognize it.
That's good.
my point being, without being an asshole for a second, is like nostalgia only carries a franchise so far. It has to have substance to it. So obviously there has to. It's not that I'm like a diehard Mario fan. I'm not. But I like the games, and if there wasn't any substance to them, nostalgia would have dried up already. In my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, for me, it always just varies Mario game to Mario game. Like the new Super Mario Bros. Series, that dried up on me pretty quick after like 2 of them.
Yeah, they beat that horse to death.
Yeah,
Horses.
yeah.
Yeah, I played it for Wii U because there wasn't much else to play.
Yeah, I only played it on Wii U because my fiance wanted to play it and she wanted me to play with her. And I was like, all right.
It was good. I did
Yeah.
like it, but there was nothing like.
She had a lot more fun
mind-blowing
with it
about
than
it.
I did. I'll say that.
That
But
was
it's
one-
fine. It just
New Super Mario Brothers, wasn't that a launch game for the Wii U? It's like,
It
yeah,
was.
yeah.
a
It's the
2D
worst
Mario
launch
game
game
in
ever.
720p. Joy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that was as a first like HD Mario game, which was kind of neat.
Should have
but-
patented Nintendo Land, man. Damn it.
Nintendo Land. Anyway, some people
love
like it.
Nintendo
I know.
Land.
Yeah,
I'm one of them.
some people do like it. Yep.
Okay.
Cool. Well, we could just kind of.
You can still talk shit about it. That's fine. Feel free to
Well.
hate on the game. It's not as long as you don't hate on Metroid Prime. I think we'll be good.
I want to talk about deep, luscious super sampling that's coming to the Switch too.
Yes,
Mm.
we're about to get into some of that deep lusciousness. So our next topic here is the Switch 2 rumor train, info train, whatever you want to call it, the thing that smashes in the wall every single week because there's so many people hopping on it and making bullshit up. But today we had somebody who tends to have a pretty good track record with some insider knowledge and stuff. And Nate the Hate did a little podcast today talking about a lot of the recent rumors, combined with obviously giving out some new details, or I guess confirming things we weren't sure, including some of that deep, luscious DLSS action.
Such a big deal. You can't underestimate it.
It's a huge deal, and I don't know if gamers that don't game on PC really truly understand how big of a deal it is, the stuff that he said today.
So I want to ask a question in case you remember, because So from what I understand, ray reconstruction, which is like the big point that he brought up today,
Yeah.
that is DLSS 3.5. Like if you go to NVIDIA's channel, you watch their
Yes.
videos and they explain it. Like DLS 2 is the the super resolution improvement. DLS 3 is when they integrated frame generation.
Yep.
And then 3.5 is the ray reconstruction. So it's basically, ray tracing. Now, what I'm kind of curious on though is we've already heard about DLS 3.5. Is this more of Nate double downing and saying that it indeed does happen before it was? I think I'm talking myself into remembering what it was. Before it was speculative, and now it's like,
Yeah, so it was speculative.
there.
It was 3.5. Some people didn't think it was because like, oh, this thing's not going to have ray reconstruction. And then even after he said it on the podcast, there were people being like, oh, just he's saying it has ray reconstruction. Yeah, that just means that it's technically possible to do on it, but it's not. There's not going to be enough there to really. It's not. It's a technical possibility, but not something that's going to be useful. And then he came out, I think, on Family Boards, and he was like, "No, when I brought this up, it's because it's developers.
It's a major
use it.
feature.
Yeah. Like it's being used.
That's why the
might only be used in dock
Unreal-
mode, but it is going to be used by a lot of developers.
And that's a pretty big deal because if you really think about it, the Switch-like PCs, we'll call them, like the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally and the 6,782 Ioneos, with fidelity effects. Not only has there been big leaps in integrated graphics hardware, like now AMD CPUs or APUs come with RDNA 2 graphics, which is a huge leap from what they had before. You also have fidelity effects, which gives a lot of breathing room to low power limited hardware like mobile chips. So that's a lot of this, like whether it be deep learning, super sampling, or fidelity effects, is allowing these handheld gaming PCs to essentially play AAA games at like medium, sometimes high settings, depending on the resolution. So now imagine that on a piece of custom hardware from Nintendo, where developers can really dig right down to the metal without having to worry about it being compatible with 8 billion different PC types that people have.
Yeah, like it's a really big deal because super resolution was probably always a given. That was what DLSS kept coming up in all the reports and rumors because that's increasing frame rate and increasing resolution. But it's interesting thinking about it having this ray tracing stuff because the big deal out of that, like the demo from Gamescom that was reported on, was talking about how, hey, a lot of people thought the game looked better. The Matrix Awakens demo looked better than it did on PlayStation 5. And people were like, oh, you're just lying. It was an in the moment thing. And then you're hearing, oh, this has this. It potentially, Nate was saying there's a chance that this has better ray tracing than what the PlayStation 5 can output. And then a lot of that's because the NVIDIA technologies are just that far ahead of what AMD is doing, which if that's the case, it's kind of impressive, at least in the moment. Obviously, is it impressive when the PlayStation 5 Pro comes out? That's a different conversation, but
if it comes out.
I want to say something.
Oh, no.
I'm kind of joking, but I just want to point it out.
Yeah.
Remember when we were kind of just like spitballing like ideas for the name for Switch 2?
Oh,
I agree. Switch 2 is like, it seems like the most logical choice, but Nintendo just hasn't done that before. So it's like, okay, what could we do? And I came up with a random one that would be Switch Nova. Given this ray tracing focus,
it's not going to be the focus.
My eyes are like
no. I'm not saying focus. I'm saying because of the ray tracing, the improved lighting effects that could be beyond other platforms.
You're doing so good tonight, Andres.
Nah.
Just
all I'm saying, that name I came up with Nova fits better than before. That's all.
He might need a couple 2 inches in his life right now.
I just think Super Nintendo Switch, have RGT be the mascot wearing the Hulk Hogan outfit, and it'll fly off shelves.
They hate me. Wait,
wait,
They
RGT
should put him like on the corner, like funky mode.
What was the question, Jake?
Oh, what do you think the next Switch will be called? Do you think Switch 2?
I think we don't know. And
we have no damn clue. Let's just keep it.
I didn't ask you what it was going to be. I said, what would your best guess be? What do you think?
Something different. as in not the Switch
Just-
2
just
or
call
the
it that.
Super
Okay, so
Nintendo
all right,
Switch.
that's a good answer. So not the Switch 2 though.
Nah, I don't think so.
Just a different console. Just have them handwrite it on the box. A different console.
They're too
Switch NG.
they're too
Not-
scared
not
after the
Nintendo
Wii to
Switch.
Wii U.
Well,
They're too
years
scared.
after the Wii came out, I remember I was on a date with this girl. Went back to my place, and she saw the pad, and she's like, "What is that?" She's like, "Oh, it's the Wii U." She's like, "Oh, is that an add-on for the Wii?" This was years after the
Right.
thing came out, so they can't have that happen.
Well, that's why I think if so. My next question to you guys would be like, do you think it'll have Switch in the name? Because if they do, the only thing that would make sense is the Switch 2. Because anything else, Super Nintendo Switch, Switch Nova, whatever, just sounds like another version of the Switch for the
Right.
casual consumer.
Yeah,
So they either got to call it the Switch 2 or a brand new name, but then they lose all that marketing value of the Switch name.
Right.
They're
I don't-
probably having like, I'm sorry, RGT, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm sure they're probably having like 13-hour board meetings where a bunch of angry Asian men are throwing papers at each other trying to figure out a name as we speak. I'm
They're
just
gonna call
saying
it Switch
because it's
Go.
tough. Think about how we're just casually debating it and no one could be like, that's a good
You
idea.
don't think
That's
they
a bad
figured it
idea."
out already?
Oh, I think they know at this. Well, that depends when it's coming out.
if the-
Not necessarily. They can
Yeah.
have the hard. They could probably have the
I'll
hardware
say
ready
this.
to ship, but they may
It-
not know the name.
if the reports of from Nikkei and DJI money about it going into mass production in November are true, then I think they have to know because they'd be printing it onto the stuff they're making. So
That's a good point.
like,
we
they have
don't
to
know if they started making them already yet though, because
Yeah,
everyone
it's
that's played it,
supposed
I
to be
think, has played it
November.
on PC hardware.
Yeah, those are just not like ideal tech
Yeah,
demos,
right.
right? Based off.
We don't.
Yeah,
That's not
yeah, yeah.
confirmed or anything.
That was
but
tar-
yeah,
that
yeah.
was tar-
We'll
yeah,
do
that
this
was a
in
target spec demo
Yeah.
situation. Yeah.
Wait, RGT, what were you saying earlier though about the name?
I don't remember.
Oh,
He was too busy going Hulkamania on
I
your
know because I had said
I
something
don't
about
remember, brother.
how they have to call it something completely different than the Switch if they're not going to call it Switch
Right.
2.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Oh,
it
okay.
has to be Switch 2 or something
Yeah.
completely different. I don't think
I
it's
would
going to
not-
be Switch Onyx or Switch Nova or
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shit like that.
it's-
I mean,
would-
I don't know what
wouldn't-
it's going to be.
I wouldn't want to be Nintendo in this position because I don't think anybody is. They're probably all sitting there like, what the hell do we call this thing? So we sell as many as possible.
What's sad is the answer is very simple. Just call it Switch 2. Everyone's going to get it.
Yeah,
You
it
mean
would make
use
life
numbers
simple.
like every technology in the world, so everyone knows when they see a 2, it means the next thing. Yeah. and
So-
just-
Be happy
feel
that
like
people-
I'm too dumb to think of a better thing than the Switch 2, but I do feel like Nintendo could surprise us and come up with something better. They could call
Well,
it the
And that's
fucking
why I
Switch 2.
say all
you say
dumb ideas like
Nintendo's
Nova.
been pretty bad with better with sequel
Yeah, I know.
consoles.
it'll be Nintendo Switch 2, but it'll be TOO.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, you're too
Yeah.
clever for
And
their
they'll-
britches.
And
Yep,
they'll just-
too
and
clever
they'll
for
just
their
have-
britches.
And they'll
Yeah.
just have Shigeru Miyamoto with a thumbs up smiling on the
That
box.
was
Right.
that's just like the
Yeah.
Wii U when they said it's a Wii for you. I'm like, oh my god,
No,
that's not the marketing.
Did they
they're
say
going
that?
with,
Was
is
that
it?
part of the
Yes.
marketing?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it was.
Yes,
yeah,
it was.
Reggie came out on stage and said his body.
That
was
makes it
ready to
sound
tell
like
the
just a
story.
Wii.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Wii
Hey.
for you. I'm like, what are you doing? This is horrible. Anyways,
To get
Oh,
back
so
on
they
the
gave
topic-
Sony got it right.
I
They
get,
were just
I
like,
get
what
what
are we?
they're trying to do. Okay.
Sony
Yeah.
got it right. They were just like, what are we naming the next PlayStation? They were just like 2. Oh yeah, it's a good idea. And they could just PlayStation 20 if there's still
Yeah, right.
consoles. There won't be. But you know what I mean? Like it's just simple.
Also,
Yeah.
I feel like all the good names for like a Switch that's not Switch 2 are already taken as YouTuber names.
It's true.
So
So many.
what's interesting
I can
about
just call
Sony,
it the
Of course,
Nintendo
what's up?
Prime. I'd be good with that.
you would be. Oh, that'd be great for you. But what's interesting about Sony is that Sony fans are never going to debate what the next PlayStation is going to be called. Or if they do, it's
Yeah.
because they're dumb. Unless it's a handheld, then it's up for
I
debate.
mean,
Yeah, yeah,
they do.
different.
They're dumb.
Yeah, but like
Yeah.
with Nintendo, like that if they may screw up the name, but at least us like YouTubers are always gonna like kind of debate it, right? Like at least there's always the speculation of what they're gonna do next.
But we have a reason to speculate because we have no idea what the hell Nintendo's going to name anything. Like
It is-
everything is so different.
And it's weird because if you get the naming right, like for example, I actually think the Xbox 360, that's a good name. And it actually is catchier than if they called it the Xbox 2. But then they went into calling the Xbox after that the Xbox One.
Right.
Everyone's like, you're talking about the first
Yeah.
Xbox? No, I'm talking about the one. The hell are you talking about? Like, it, you know, so if you get it right, you could really get it right if you don't just do a number. But if you get it wrong, oh, you get it real wrong, you know?
Yeah. I
Exactly.
still remember when the Xbox One X was selling like hotcakes when they announced the series. That
Right.
threw me for a loop.
So many people bought the wrong thing. The 360 actually made sense because they didn't want to call it the 2 when there was a PlayStation 3 out. Because it, you know, so naming it
It
the
worked.
360 let them keep that 3 next to PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Just show that was really smart, but that was like the only smart thing they did.
I think they can call it. They're gonna pull a page out of the Brewers, and the restaurant that was in American Family Field. They at one point in time named it "Restaurant to be named later," so they're gonna call this "The Council to be named later."
Could you
And just go with that.
Could you imagine?
I just go with that.
It's just like the name is TBA. Actually,
Yeah,
that would be kind of catchy. TBA.
TBA,
One
yeah.
thing that will help a lot with the name is like if they have just an absolute incredible launch title. Like they can't do Zelda now, they kind of use that up. But if they do have like a 3D Mario that is not backwards compatible, that's a new Switch exclusive, then a lot less people will care about the name. They'll just be like, oh my god, I gotta play this 3D Mario game. Oh, I need a new system to play it? Oh, okay. You know what I mean?
Launch with like a Mario game. It also launch with like a mature game. Like even if, because it'll probably have the horsepower, it better have the horsepower too. Like even if they like remade Elden Ring for the Switch, you know, like have the Mario game or have a new Zelda or whatever, and then have a game like Elden Ring or something like it. It would be like, wow, you have, even if it's just 2 damn games, you have these 2 different flavors, and it'll appeal to different people on a new, more powerful piece of hardware.
Well, Monster Hunter's rumored. I mean, it's going to be
That's a big one.
cross-platform, but if it's like a day and date title for Switch 2, like that's a big deal. There's also Prime 4, which won't be rated mature, but you know, people think that they may line up in terms of release timing.
You know
So
what
those
I
are
hope they call
possibilities.
it? The Switch Quantum.
No,
I swear.
No.
I can't
for many
handle that.
reasons.
Sorry, I've been trying to hold
My
tongue
audience
this whole
might
time.
not know the Quantum TV saga, but we don't.
Nintendo Quantum TV, they're saying it.
Of course they are.
No,
Of course they
yeah,
are.
they'll
I think
have
I
the
brought it up
third-
on a live stream once,
Listen.
and we watched a couple of your videos on it. I'm like,
They're
dude,
going to
this
have a
is bad.
special edition called the Thoroughly Tickled Edition. I'll stop there because if we go down to the Quantum
I
rabbit
would
hole,
buy that. That's an amazing name.
Totally
for a
tickled.
special edition.
I like that. I like that.
Wait, didn't you come out with some merch?
Remember, you
for
just
that,
put it in the
Rich?
bottle and breastfeed it to you.
I have actually and I wore it once to the mall by accident doing
It's like
errands,
the
and-
AI picture, right?
Yes, because God, if imagine I had a real picture of Quantum, he would have like 20 lawyers at my door. But it was an AI picture. That just came out. I'm like, everyone, and I was like, this looks like Quantum. And Jay, my editor, was like, yeah, it does. So we just keep using it, and he probably gets pissed off, but there's nothing he could do. It's an
I
AI
love that.
picture.
You know, no, Nintendo. See, this would guarantee infinite popularity by all the big name companies like Google. If the Nintendo, whatever they call this thing, just automatically doxes you because that's apparently allowed and promoted.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's Sniper Wolf, of course.
Sniper Wolf.
Let's
Yeah,
just say
just
your
dox
name.
people
I
and
don't
then
wanna-
have YouTube make a really bad joke about it because it's not funny.
What was I did a double take on that. I was like, no, I thought it was someone either like they hacked YouTube's account or it was like someone who did a really good job pretending like, you know, like sometimes there's a fake Twitter account, but
Yeah.
even if you know
a
what
nice
to look for, it
troll,
looks
a really
real.
good troll. Yeah.
And then I went
Yeah.
to go, I'm like, no, this is the real YouTube account. And it was weird because they had the context, like sometimes if like people put up like either like this actually means this for the community. It has it for that, but if you notice though, if you go to that tweet from YouTube, like it stays there for a second and goes away. So it's like someone was like, yeah, get rid of that community note, please. I could be wrong, and it could just be a bug from Elon Musk's magical social media machine, but I just noticed the community notes on that seem to disappear.
Yeah, that doesn't really surprise me. Oh, it looks like the Hulkster dipped out. It's all
Yeah,
right.
you came back. He urinated and came back a completely different man.
I had to take it off to pee.
Oh.
You're just like,
people
oh, yeah,
castings,
brother.
They
Yeah, you
never,
might
they
wanna
never
cut a hole
consider
for
having to go to
Halloween
the
night. You
bathroom.
might want to figure that out, man.
Oh
I'm-
yeah, brother. I went to urinate and I almost pissed all over my costume. Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's never mind. That's Macho Man.
Yeah, I probably do need to figure that out. Come to think of it.
Gonna have to snip a little. Just make sure
Yeah,
you're not wearing
just
it. while you do it.
cut a hole in front and just wear boxers. You're good.
Yeah, it's fine. It's my own.
Yeah,
house
you could
anyways.
just cut and just use
Yeah.
like Velcro or something. You just
Like, it wouldn't
Put it
matter
up.
to me if I was in a Halloween party in that thing. You can have a hole or not. If I'm drinking, I'm probably pissing on it either way.
Well,
I
if
can
your
get a
eyes,
cat
You
there.
just sit there and piss yourself.
if your eyes,
Dude, I wouldn't think I am. I'd just go to the bathroom and it'd be all cool. And I probably wouldn't even know.
Dude, my
If you
favorite
are-
thing
if
of
you're-
Halloween is anytime I see someone try to take a drink and they're wearing a mask. I live
Oh,
for that.
dude, okay. Look, I tried taking a shot once with a mask on. I got it everywhere. I don't even want to.
Amazing.
so
Oh man, at least it wasn't one
me-
of those on fire shots and then just lights the
Yeah.
whole mask up. That actually might have looked kind of badass for a half second.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back a little bit to the actual topic that I totally derailed by bringing up the name nonsense.
That's all right.
Just because I just kind of found it interesting. I was curious how you guys felt about this because we know about there's probably given that we got the Slim and then the leaks for the Xbox, it looks like we're going to have an Xbox and a PlayStation revision next year, right? What's interesting about that is that a lot of people are kind of questioning like why. It doesn't seem like it's the right time to do that. But now we kind of factor what we're hearing now about Switch 2 and it having this superior version of ray tracing. Well, now obviously Switch 2 is going to be weaker than those platforms, right? But what's being said by Nate is that at least the ray tracing aspect is going to be ahead on Switch 2. So could it be that maybe Microsoft and Sony kind of have an idea of this and they want to put out revisions so they can kind of keep up from the ray tracing perspective? Does that make sense?
well, from what I heard, Microsoft has no plans to come out with a more powerful version of the Series
Exactly.
X. They're
a
just making-
non-disc.
Yeah, they're just
That-
making
that
a
sort of
this
cylinder
trash
thing.
can version of it. Sony is, from what I've heard, this is still a rumor, but they have a PlayStation Pro in the works, but it may not come out still because they're not. I guess they're putting feelers in the market. So I
Jake
don't know.
Randall,
I think
what's your market feeler saying on this?
I see the
Yeah, I
antennas
mean,
going
I
up, yeah.
think that Sony's made a lot of weird and kind of bad decisions with the hardware and accessories they've released this gen. I think they want VR2 to happen so bad, and really no one cares. But they look at it like, well, Nintendo and Microsoft aren't doing it at all. So if this ever does, if we just throw this shit and it does stick to the wall, we'll be the biggest ones, and that's why they're not giving up on that. But they got kind of burned by it, right? And then after announcing the handheld, nobody like that. Everyone made fun of that. So
But
now
it's sold
I think
out.
they're much more cautious, especially after getting rid of Jim Ryan. They're like, all right, hold up. But I do think it's going to come out because I think it's just a huge waste of R&D if you get this far and decide not to manufacture it.
True, but how much of a loss would they take if they manufactured a bunch of them and brought them in store shelves and they just sat there?
See, the thing
what
is,
would be
I
more
think a lot of
financially-
people would buy it kind of mindlessly, especially people that have been waiting for a PS5.
Well, that's why.
they...
Sorry, continue.
No. Yeah. Go ahead.
That's why I said in my video I wasn't clickbaiting. I'm like, if you're still on the fence about a PS5, maybe wait another 6 months to see what they say. Like at this point, especially because we're just, if you think about it, man, cross-gen games, they're still coming out, aren't they? So
A number of them, yeah.
yeah, like just wait at this point, because then if like the PS5 Pro is like 150 more, which I know is wishful thinking.
I
Then-
think what the actual thing that would make people not buy it and why people maybe shouldn't even wait if they don't have one yet is what that price is going to be. Because if it's going to be like over $700, maybe you don't really care that much and you do just want a base PS5 because there's games coming out within the next year that you really want to play day one.
Maybe it's a nostalgia
And-
play. Release a $600.
Yeah, I think it's
system.
how cheap can they get that Pro?
It's a joke.
I think that's going to come down to their decision.
I would just go for an Amico.
I mean,
Yeah, maybe you can find a dev kit of that somewhere for $10 on eBay.
regardless of what actually happens, though, like there's always constant R&D. So I don't know if they're always thinking of something. Like supposedly there was a Switch Pro, right? But they decided not to do it. So like Nintendo still did the R&D for that, and it didn't come to market, right? So maybe whatever happens, if there is like a Pro and they don't come to market, they just take whatever they were working on with that and they just kind of use that as a building block for their actual next gen system.
And there's a lot of times companies put out a lot of elaborate patents just to cover their ass, and the product never comes to fruition. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah. Are you guys expecting Switch 2 to be pretty powerful? Like the ray tracing's one thing, but like, are we going to be getting like all these third-party ports and everything? Like just day
I think
one?
so. Yeah.
Hope so. Want so. That's what I think really made the Switch such a breakout success, is that you had the great games from Nintendo because they have amazing first-party IPs, even if they're not your cup of tea, and they got pretty decent for the first time, in my opinion, unless I'm missing a console since the Super Nintendo, good solid third-party support. I know the Wii had a bunch of third-party support, but a lot of it was shovelware ass. There, of course, there was a decent amount of exceptions, but that's what made the Switch really appealing, is that you had good third-party games and you had the first-party games, and it was a long time since the last time Nintendo had that. So I'm hoping that the next Switch will be able to handle a decent amount of third-party games, even if they have to be cut down, which they will be, because that's what made the Switch, at least to me, appealing, you know? So, and with all these options now with like the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally that weren't there when the Switch launched, I feel like it has to be Nintendo's not going to go all out. We know Nintendo, but it has to at least be in line with, from what I've been hearing, it's like kind of like the ROG Ally in terms of capability, except NVIDIA is going to be making the SoC.
Right.
So,
Well, the way I look at it is like, this is just speculation, but let's pretend they use even 3-year-old, technology in the new Switch. That's still a 5-year increase because they were using 2015 tech and the original Switch. So in 3 years, that was 2020. That's what PS5 and Xbox Series X have. I mean, if those consoles came out 3 years ago, that's 3-year-old tech. So even if the Switch is doing that, it's going to be such a huge improvement.
difference.
And there's so much incentive for the third-party companies because of the way the Switch sold. So many games that came out on there just blew up, and especially if they didn't come out on other platforms, they just found so much life on the Switch, a lot of indie games and stuff. So there's so much incentive for these companies to find a way to make it work. And I think the Series S is also a path where it's like, okay, if we got to make our games compatible in some way for the Series S, even if we're not great at porting the Switch, we can definitely find an answer too. And it's way more lucrative to port something for the Switch than the Series S. So if they're already doing it.
And if Nintendo finds a way to be able to have the same ports as like the 9th gen consoles, and the next gen Switch has like 2 hours plus more battery life than like the ROG Ally or the Steam Deck, it's going to be a wrap. They're going to fly off shelves, because that's one of the biggest shortcomings to those portable PC consoles, is that, if you want to bump up the wattage in those and get really good frame rates at high resolutions, it's just like the battery's like, so
Exactly.
If they can make it efficient and powerful and run the same games as like the Steam Deck and ROG Ally and give you 2+ more hours of game time on the battery, that they'll be unstoppable.
Wasn't it with the Switch like the idea that it's basically like a stock Tegra X1 with just a little bit of extra RAM or something? So wouldn't the idea with Switch 2 be that it's kind of had like a little bit more customization done? Like at first, like maybe like Nintendo and Nvidia, they had this idea, they went forward with it and they realized, oh, this is a winner. Let's actually like put more time, more research and development, create something that's a little bit more customized. And maybe that ends up having a little bit more bang for the buck than what we got for Switch in 2017.
I actually heard some murmurs, and maybe RGT, because I know you talked to Nate the Hate, that they kind of went off the shelf with the Switch because they weren't sure what the hell was going to happen with it. So it was less R&D.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish. I was done.
Well, no, I was just going to say, because that Tegra X1 chip, NVIDIA was using that in other products that they had at the time.
Ton of other ones.
Yeah. So allegedly, this system is a chip built and designed specifically for this next iteration of a console. Could be something where there's a little NVIDIA logo on it somewhere, kind of like what did the GameCube have on it, ATI or something like that.
Yeah, before
So,
AMD took
that
it.
And
little
Silicon
square stick in the
graphics
corner.
with N64. Yeah.
Right. So I could see that potentially being a thing with this, because it seems like, this was kind of, this is kind of just me speculating, but that was a way for NVIDIA to kind of clear out Tegras, and it worked for what Nintendo wanted to do. So they're like, okay, this is a good partnership idea. But then with the success of it, obviously, NVIDIA probably had a bit of cold feet with it, because, they're like, oh, we have all these Tegras, we're good on that. If Nintendo wants to buy them, great. We don't really have to do shit with them. Nintendo's going to be the one who, puts it in their system. But I think as the system success came along, it's kind of like, oh, cool. Okay, well, wait a minute now. Now you're a valuable partner. Now we can actually do something a bit more customized for you, because the business relationship is obviously better than it probably was initially.
And NVIDIA has a vested interest into making the Switch 2 be successful, because that's their only stronghold in the console market. Everyone else is using AMD.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Yeah. So that's why I think I'm excited for the Switch 2, because I think it's going to do what all these little gaming PCs that look like Switches are doing, but more efficiently. I just wish it had an OLED screen, but it's all but confirmed that it's not going to. So,
well, I think they release an OLED probably a year or two down the road.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm eternally the optimist, and I remember there were like some job postings suggesting Nintendo was hiring talent to work on HDR. So, I'm me being the optimist. I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, if they're hiring people to work on high dynamic range, maybe that's not just for docked mode. Maybe the screen has some level of like that as well, which wouldn't mean OLED, but maybe it's like not just like a really trash garbage LCD. It's something in the
so
middle.
expensive to make a screen that tiny with like a high resolution. Like they don't make 4K TVs like under 32 inches.
Well, you wouldn't need to have
under
high
40.
res. I don't think you don't have. No, I don't think. I know you don't have to have high res to have it. You could have a 720p screen and have it be HDR.
Really?
Oh yeah, you don't have to have high res for that. I would rather have, in my opinion, I would rather have.
Rich, we lost you.
You lost me?
I hear him.
I can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we got them.
I would rather have.
Lost everybody. Cool.
Oh,
No, I'm right here. Everybody.
I would rather swim naked in the ocean. No, I would
so
rather
crafty.
have a 720p non-HDR OLED screen than have a 1080p HDR LCD screen. But that's again just me. I think the OLED screen looks great on the Switch.
Yeah, I said that before too. Like, I'm so used to playing the OLED Switch now that I got my old Switch. I never transferred it over. I kept it on its own online account, and so I went back to like
I did the same
an old
thing.
save file of some game, and like I just maybe I'm getting old, but like I just couldn't go back to that screen after I was so used to the OLED. So I am kind of nervous about that.
And the thing is, like 720p, even for the next gen Switch in handheld mode, in my opinion, again, would be fine. I know some people 1080p or nothing, but 720p, that means that the new SoC could just worry about giving you better lighting, better textures, better environments, better frame rates, and you're not really going to notice the difference on a small-ish screen. If you want to play it at higher reses, it'll handle it docked. When it's in portable mode, it'll save you battery life, and you'll have a better gaming experience, and you won't really notice the resolution difference.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll get off my soapbox now. I'm done.
No, I mean they're good
Oh, that was
points.
fast.
Yeah. Supposedly the screen's 8 inches though.
That's what she said.
Dude, that's not
6
what you
inches
said
too
about
much.
me.
Hey. That is
Yeah,
way
I
more
mean,
than-
well, what's the size of a ROG Ally screen?
That's a good point. I have
So I
no
think
idea.
That's bigger than a Steam Deck screen.
You know what I will say on that, though? It's nice though. If you can get games to run at 120 FPS and has a 120 hertz screen, if you're like playing Doom Eternal at 100-ish frames per second on the ROG Ally is nice.
It's only 7 inches, so I got another inch. ROG Ally is 7.
The OLED is also for the Switch is also 7 inches. So that it
Yeah.
would be interesting if it actually is 8 inches. It would be noticeable.
That's what she said.
I'm more the
she
size
did.
of I'm more the size of a Game Boy Micro, but let's continue.
Yeah, 2
Hey,
inches
that
is
was a
more than
very
enough for
bright
that. That's all you
screen.
need.
It's a nice screen. It's a bright,
Yeah.
vibrant little screen.
I mean, the thing about screens is you hear
Bang for the buck.
LCD and you automatically think about your standard Nintendo Switch screen, but there's a million LCD
better.
screens. Yeah.
Yeah.
That, it's kind of like a television. There's, I bought a 4K television. Okay, but there's levels to the 4K television. So I'm not super worried about the LCD screen, but it would be disappointing if it's a crusty LCD screen that's just like not very good.
I will be
That's true.
I will be satisfied if it's a significant jump or a moderate jump in performance, and if it's a solid, clean 720p, or it would be nice since they're going back to LCD or IPS, which is LCD, 1080p. Like just a clean, solid 1080p screen. Don't make it look clean. Make the colors kind of pop. It doesn't have to be HDR, and I'll be happy. But if it's don't make it a turd like the base Switch screen. That screen is ass.
Yeah, I mean,
well,
there's
one
a middle
thing that
ground.
like all these things do, the Steam Deck, ROG Ally, or whatever, it's pretty convoluted. But you mess with the settings, right? You get the right settings. So Nintendo, with their user interface, could have options for that in handheld mode. Do you want more battery life, or do you want to turn HDR on? Not to the extreme of like those other handhelds, not convoluted or overcomplicated, but just like a few options in the settings that you can turn
Yeah.
on or off. You know what I mean?
Jake, how dare
If
you
the
have
game
so many good
supports it.
points tonight?
What's
Right.
that?
How dare you have so many good points tonight?
Oh,
Yeah, but-
thank you. Try to keep it
No,
clean.
but it's true though, because as a person who's gotten so frustrated with the ROG Ally, even though I like it, that I almost sold it. If Nintendo kind of just like takes notes and ticks the right boxes from the things that like the Steam Deck did right and the ROG Ally did right, and avoids the things they did wrong, like, well, actually the Steam Deck is pretty easy to use, but the ROG Ally with intuitiveness is mixed. If they just get that right, where they could give you options, but it's just like checking a box and that'll turn the feature on, that'll be a huge win for Nintendo. Don't make it convoluted and it'll be good.
I wonder
Exactly.
how that would work for like the mainstream. Like how many like casual players will take advantage of a feature like that, like a checker, some sort of streamlined checkerboard option on.
We
Switch.
already do it for every PS5 game that comes out. We choose whether we
Yeah.
want performance or quality mode. If it's that simple, then it's fine.
I mean, if it's just like those two options, performance versus like quality, and
Yeah,
that's pretty simple. Yeah.
that's what they would do. It's like, what do you want from your games? And I'm sure that's how Nintendo would handle it too. There's some games that on the consoles now that have like, not to bring one up that sucked, but oh my god, the Volition. I can't think of the Saints Row 2022. They give you like 60 different options.
Right. Yeah.
And there's other games that weren't crap that do that too. It's like, do you want fidelity? Do you want ray tracing with performance? Do you want ray tracing with better visuals? Do you want the highest resolution possible? It's like, just give me a couple fucking options.
Exactly.
Jesus. I'm a
Especially for like the casual crowd.
Yeah, and I'm a PC gamer. It's like, why am I on a console? Like, are you going to make me choose my anti-aliasing too? Like, what are you doing? I actually think
Yeah.
some of them do. I'm not
RGT,
sure.
I remember like when the Steam Deck came out, because you had talked about wanting like the Batman games on
Mhm.
Switch for a long time, and people were like, "Oh, like go play them there," and like that was your thing with it. You were just frustrated. You didn't want to mess with all the settings. I think, if I remember right.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's funny. I actually hardly ever use my Steam Deck, but I use my ROG Ally all the time
Okay.
because I love emulation on it. I've been downloading and playing so many PS3 games on my ROG Ally, and it's just magnifique. So
Use it
I
more than your Switch.
depends
Depends on the
depends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, cause I did Sonic and they sent me a Steam code, and I was like, cool. I'll play a little on my computer. I'll capture the footage on my computer, but I'll play it on my Steam Deck. And like that's where I played most of my Sonic Superstars was on the Steam Deck. So, it just kind of depends on what I'm kind of up to and what I'm having to play for
Sure.
work. But yeah, I've kind of come around a bit on that. The problem is that there's like a bunch of incompatible stuff.
What? He
Everyone's
froze.
just falling out.
He just froze at the He was about to say something interesting too.
I know. Come on.
I
Come
was
on,
so
hey.
I was so engrossed in that, and now Hulk Hogan's frozen.
Unlock the rest of his statement with a microtransaction in the chat.
That's
Well,
how
yeah,
it works.
yeah, that's how you have to pay. Listen, we hired John Riccatello. You have to pay for each bullet. You got to pay
That would
for
be crazy.
you have to pay for RGT to be not frozen anymore.
Damn, I kind of want to. You have the ROG Ally, right, Rich?
Yes.
Okay. Now I kind of want to get one of those because have you tried PS3 emulation on either the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally?
I have tried it on a chip that is very similar to what's in the ROG Ally, and yes, it could handle PS3 emulation pretty well.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
You got to realize it's RDNA. It has 12 compute units of RDNA 3 in there. That is decent, damn decent integrated graphics. Like, it's not a joke. Like, it's, we've gotten to the point where that's why I think NVIDIA said they're getting out of like the very budget dedicated graphics card, because there's no point now. You could just have and I'm sure NVIDIA, they're doing it with Nintendo. You could just have integrated graphics on an AMD CPU or APU, I mean to say, and you're doing AAA gaming now. No problem. So.
Wait, RG, do you want to finish that thought? We were all
you had a really good
we
point,
had
and
it.
it was so solid.
Yeah, my internet cut out for some reason. Now the thing it was like, oh, okay, wait a minute, you are correct. Now that I'm thinking about it, because Arkham City, it doesn't boot up automatically. You have to fuck around with some settings, and I had to look that up online, and that really pissed me off.
Right,
and then there's
PC
a couple
or on the Switch.
No, on PC. On the Steam Deck.
Oh yeah, Arkham City that's the newest one, right, from 2015.
No, that was Arkham Knight. Arkham City was the one before that.
Oh, it's Derp. Yeah, you're right.
And then like I downloaded some older games off of Steam that I always wanted to play. Like, I mean, obviously they're older games, so I maybe shouldn't have expected them to work, right out of the box. Like Jedi Forces, the Doom clone Star Wars game. I never got to play that as a kid. So like that was kind of disappointing, but kind of since then I've gotten so much into emulation. Now all that shit is kind of like second nature to me. And
But then it's so weird with some old PC games. Like it came out during the 7th gen. There was Warhammer 40K Space Marine. If you haven't played it, it actually works great on the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally. And you just buy that. It's from like what year? 2009, 2010 maybe, and it just works. So that's the weird thing about some old PC games, is that they're either like you have to go through hell to get them to work, or it's nothing, even if they're like over a decade old.
right.
Yeah. It sounds like, based on what you're saying, after you use it for a while, you do get used to putting in those custom settings and quickly figuring out how to make a certain game work. I'm sure there's like message boards or something you can go to help with that too.
Oh,
But
yeah.
that is like a big barrier to entry. Like you are going to have to commit to kind of learning that over the course of at least a few weeks, not a couple months.
Right. Because I had to do some weird shit to get. It was something kind of easy, but it was something I wouldn't have thought of to get Arkham City.
Right. You
running.
got to know. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It
I
was
mean,
Once
that's kind of why so many people are scared of emulation, because sometimes you gotta fuck around with some settings. What game was I playing? Last night, for instance, I was playing SmackDown versus Raw 2008. I downloaded that for PS3, and when I would use a Vulkan GPU, it would freeze every time when I get to the main menu. So then I had to go in, I put it to OpenGL, and then it worked fine. But like you say that kind of shit, and people, I don't even really know, the major differences between them. But you say that kind of stuff, and people are like, "Oh, I'm not messing around with that." This, that, and the other. So people like convenience. People like simplicity.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'll admit it. I finally just recently tried PS3 emulation, which I find funny. I tried after I got a refurbished PS3, but I was a bum and I just didn't feel like dealing with doing settings. And I should have, because PS3 emulation now is pretty easy.
Yeah, and it's really fucking good too.
Even on integrated graphics, I know. It's
Yeah.
nuts.
Dude, I'm running PS3 shit on fucking $300 mini PCs, like no problems. Like it's crazy. It's way better than Xbox 360 emulation. Xbox 360 emulation, still a bit dodgier, but yeah, it's crazy how fast it's come along. And the cool thing about emulation is, I know this is fucking. We're supposed to be talking about Nintendo, but that's fine. The host isn't even here. He broke his fucking microphone or something.
I'm considering coming during the
I'm having
cast.
a good time.
We're having technical. Yeah, you know what's funny is that like you could remaster your own games playing them on PC. Oh, you want Red Dead Redemption 2 to run at 4K and 60 FPS? Just download the.
Oh, it's like fucking Duck Station. That makes me
Yeah.
want to play through every PS1 game again because it looks so much better.
and
You
it's
get-
smoother. Yes.
Yeah, you do the internal resolution upscaling to like 4K on Saturn and PS2 shit. It's like, what the fuck? This looks amazing. And it's like, especially, you know what system has aged the best? Dreamcast. I don't know
Oh,
if it's
yeah.
because of the color palette or the kind of chunkier polygons, but you play some upscale Dreamcast shit and you're like, wow, this looks phenomenal. This could be a modern release and nobody would say anything.
I think
I
it was
actually
the art
want
design.
Dreamcast on NSO more than GameCube.
I me too. But
Dude,
I mean, Dreamcast is so
love the Dreamcast.
it's so easy to emulate though. You could fucking run it on pretty much anything nowadays.
And some of those
And-
games were online, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like that might actually work really well as like an NSO platform.
Yeah, well, I mean, Quake 3 was on there, and yet Unreal Tournament was on there. You could play
Soul Calibur.
You could play Soul Calibur. You could play NFL 2K1. I don't think the original one had the online. Maybe it did. I could be wrong on that. NBA 2K was on there as well.
Was there NBA Jam?
There was not.
Or was that was
Oh, yeah, I
that was
remember
prior
NBA
gen.
2K2 with Allen Iverson on the cover.
Yeah, like the Dreamcast was the perfect system for gamers, and everyone was like, "I want this DVD player, PlayStation 2." It's like, fuck,
Literally.
man. God, he ruined it. Free online, dude. I remember doing all sorts of shit online with that. Like, I didn't know what all you do. Fucking plug in your phone cable, and then boom, you're good to go.
I played the ass out of Soul Calibur. I love Soul Calibur. I used to body. That was actually when I was good at fighters and I wasn't old, and I used to body all my friends with Kalik.
I'm a nightmare guy.
Kalik was seriously wounded, but his soul still burns.
And the thing about the Dreamcast was quite possibly the best launch lineup ever.
Yes.
Like, holy shit, so
100%.
many games came out. Like, fucking AAA banger titles on day one. It's like, wow.
I
What
wish
was
that
there? Was
system had
Sonic
more than 2
Adventure.
years.
There was Power Stone. There was Power Stone came out at launch, right? There was
think
Soul
so.
Calibur. What
Let
else
me-
was there?
Let me see here.
Yeah,
Gotta
this
go
is
with it.
So here is everything that launched on 9/9/99. Soul Calibur, Power Stone, Mortal Kombat Gold, Sonic Adventure, Expendable, Blue Stinger, Trick Style, Hydro Thunder, Tokyo Extreme Racer, Sega Flag to Flag, Monaco Grand Prix, Pen Trice Leon. I don't know what that is. TNN Hardcore Beat, The House of the Dead 2, Air Force Delta, Arrow Wings, NFL 2K, NFL Blitz 2000, Ready to Rumble Boxing.
Yeah, that I was about to say.
Day
Yeah.
one.
It was nuts. You know what I think? I don't even think it was just
19 games on launch day. That's crazy. The
Crazy.
the PS5 and stuff had like 3? Maybe?
Yeah, one if you were lucky. No,
Yeah.
obviously you had a few more.
I
Than,
don't,
but no, like
I don't think it was fully that. Yes, the DVD player definitely hurt the Dreamcast not having that capability. But I also think that Sega, I'm going to just say it, butt fuck their name so hard by that point. Hey,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is the 32X is your next gen system. Just plop this mushroom on top of your Sega Genesis. Well, actually, it started with the Sega CD. Add this on for more power, and you were just playing softcore porn CD video games. Then get the 32X. That's not next gen. Get the Sega Saturn. The Sega
learn
Saturn
all about-
sucks.
to learn all about the Sega 32X, head on over to Amazon.com and type in the complete Sega 32X guide. You'll
Oh
find
yeah,
a
hell yeah!
fine piece of literature.
Hey,
on
can
it.
we get a
Plug that
nod
shit.
to put that
I'll
link
buy it.
in the
I'm
chat?
serious. I'm going to buy it.
Who wrote
I-
that book?
I didn't know you had that book.
Yeah, I
I,
wrote that.
Hey,
You wrote it?
Charles, can you get the
That's-
link for
okay.
RGT's book on Amazon? Put it in the chat.
Yeah, I brought it a couple years ago, and I had no idea how to design a book, and so I sent it to one of my friends. The guy I used to do Nintendo Enthusiasts with, Jason Lapine. I was like, "Yo, I'm gonna write this book." He was like, "That's cool. You got any designs?" I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "This looks like a toddler got a hold of a crayon. Like, what the fuck are you? This looks horrible." I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing." So the strangest thing, he happened to have book editing software. I'm like, "Have you ever written a book?" He was like, "Nah." And I was like, "But I feel like I can edit it if you want to give me the stuff and give me, take the screenshots, send me everything." And that's what we did, and it came out really good. And yeah.
I'm gonna pick up a copy. That's it. I didn't even know
I see we got that link in the chat.
I didn't even know you
Thank
had
so
the
much,
book because I
Charles.
would have bought it.
Yeah,
You wanna
I
know
got
what
it.
it is?
Testing.
just
Can you
not-
guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
now we
no.
can.
Hey,
Yeah,
hey,
can't
well,
hear you.
that's not
Dude, I literally go to let my dog outside, and then my Rodecaster Pro 2 just died.
Whoa! Just
Got
calm
jealous of
here,
your dog.
okay? That's rude.
I thought maybe you heard my horse freestyle and ran off the stream. Anyway,
No. I was
Yeah,
letting my
let's-
dog out, and all of a sudden I see Eric panicking, and I'm like, "What's he panicking about?" I come down here, I'm like, "Oh shit, the whole thing's dead. It won't even turn on."
Yeah, you had
Well,
to change out your mic.
Yeah,
well, you know what broke my heart about the Dreamcast is that they were developing a Castlevania for it that never came out. There's like a prototype that
That's-
floats around, but it's all broken. But
Was
They
it
were
Metroidvania
developing-
or was it 3D?
it was
know?
going to be 3D. So yeah, it was probably going to
Okay.
be shit. But
Maybe not.
I love
that didn't end up being
Castlevania
one of the-
64, and
That
that's
didn't
not
end up
just
being
hate
one of the
that game.
PS2 Castlevanias, did it? This was completely its own thing.
Here is the thing. I know the things that suck about it, and I agree. I'm not like a fanboy of it, but as much as the game was flawed as shit, I think they were going in the right direction. They just got scared off because of the reception and the sales.
Did you know? I'm reading this from the complete Sega 32X book that in the unreleased game section found on page 64,
I know.
Castlevania: The Bloodletting. Castlevania was even going to make an appearance on the Sega 32X with Castlevania: The Bloodletting, designed to be a sequel to the PC Engine game Castlevania: Rondo of Blood. This game would have featured Richter Belmont, Maria Renard, and The Rival. Little is known about this game, although it's safe to presume that it would have been a traditional 2D Castlevania game and not the Metroidvania style. All that and more.
That was
All that and
really
more.
can
fun
jack
fact.
this.
That was a
This,
delight to the senses.
This I could be
Delightful.
wrong about because like I'm wiping cobwebs off of my brain to remember this. Didn't they end up using some of the assets that were going to be in the 32X version of the game for Symphony of the Night? Maybe
I
I'm wrong
believe
about it.
so. I think you're
Okay.
right.
That
Wow,
kind
that
of thing
probably
happens a
would've
lot.
been
So maybe.
Well, it's like they found that Castlevania Dreamcast build like a year or so ago, and that got leaked online, and
Yeah.
people were
Wait,
playing that.
wasn't that what we were just talking about?
I think did I
Oh, were
try
we?
that? Yeah, and I tried that. It was of course it's like a broken prototype, so it was a turd. But
I pray that someday the canceled Earthbound 64, which I know amounted to Mother 3 on Game Boy Advance, but I pray that N64 version of the game leaks out someday.
Somebody has it somewhere. Somebody
Yeah, I'm
has.
sure it's
everything.
incomplete, but
I just
Yeah.
want From Software to make a Castlevania game, then I'll shut the fuck up about it, and which will
Oh.
never happen. But
that would be really interesting.
because I
They
feel
do
like
good.
I feel like Castlevania would have went in that direction if Konami wasn't Konami.
Yeah, I mean, I've always talked about Dark Souls as like, I mean, it's
Oh.
Metroidvania in 3D. Like,
It's like a spiritual. It's like what
Yeah.
Castlevania should have been. Let's keep it real. And if it was 3D, it's like they're like, hey, let's do what Konami was too stupid not to do.
Yeah, they
Cha-ching.
focused way too much on. I remember getting Castlevania 64. I was with my mom and we were at Target, and I had just gotten a good report card. She was like, "You can pick out an N64 game." So I'm scanning. I see a Castlevania 64. What the fuck? This is gonna be awesome. So I got that, and dude,
Oh,
I
boy.
was so pissed off. The part where you got to get the Mander Drake and you got to bring it from one area to another area without getting hit. I lost my fucking shit on that.
Oh, that
I
part was rage inducing. I agree. I
Dude.
actually liked the game though.
That was horrible. I couldn't believe that.
like the creepy, like I loved like the music was atmosphere. It wasn't like the main focus. And then they had, when you went into the mansion, like that really ambience, that creepy, like I was like,
The
oh,
music
this is,
was pretty good for,
Yeah, it
for when it
was.
was there. And like even the intro, like the intro made it seem like so epic with the little dude and the violin.
oh yeah,
And
that's
it's
not
like all
clean.
symphonic. Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, let's fucking go. And even like
should
the
add this
first
in, so.
intro area wasn't bad with like the big skeleton and the skeletons on bikes. Like I know people hate that, but that wasn't bad. And then it's like, all right, time for some platforming, and then you're like, holy shit, you did not take any cues from Super Mario 64 with this.
A lot of games back then didn't. Mario 64 was like the only game that got 3D platforming right until like 5 minutes ago. They really, especially during that generation, man, most 3D platforming in most cases was rough.
Yes.
I wonder if that's why Zelda, they didn't have like an automatic jump until Breath of the Wild, because they just figured it would have been easier to do the auto jump instead of trying to figure
Probably.
out the
I think so.
perspective.
I think so.
You know,
I
what's
mean,
the
it
worst?
works. I mean, nobody ever really complains like, oh, you can't do it traditional. It's like, nah, dude.
Now
Shut
people
the fuck
complain
up.
that you can jump.
Yeah, now you have too much freedom. It's too
Yeah.
open ended. They want us to go back to the old. That's the thing. People are never fucking satisfied.
No.
So, you can't.
Some
There's
people
also the
are,
vocal minority,
No,
right? Like I
who?
think
Yeah,
most people are
Who
happy
is
with Breath of the Wild.
satisfied?
because if you're satisfied, you're not going to talk about it. So obviously, the unsatisfied people are
Yeah.
always the one that's have something to say.
I
Maybe
wanted to
I'm
get
just
to
like
on the
my
same
mother.
page.
She's
Before I
never
forget,
satisfied.
Lords
Wait,
of
what's that?
Shadow
Screaming
2
at each other.
was a shittier Castlevania game than the N64 ones. Changed my mind. Lords of Shadow 2, 1 was great. Lords of Shadow 2 was complete ass.
Was that the PS3 one or PS2 one?
It was
That's
during the
PS3.
7th gen. And
Oh,
we
okay.
know what made me so angry is that the intro of that game is so epic. And then right after the intro, it just was like, here, we're going to now give you the worst game you've ever played.
You know
Yeah,
what's
like-
funny? Like 90% of these plug and play emulation devices that have PS3, that game is always on there. Again, sometimes that's the only PS3 game on there, and it's like, why this? Like, put fucking Ridge Racer 7 on there. It's a good looking game. It doesn't need a lot of specs, but they always put Lords of Shadow 2 on there, and I'm like, what the? Why are you doing this?
That's
Why not
weird.
Lords of Shadow 1? It's actually good.
I
Like,
don't
it's-
know. I do not know. I have so many portable hard drives that like companies have sent me.
Yeah, me
Like
too.
this fucking one right here. I guarantee you this has Lords of Shadow 2 on it. And it's just like, why?
Yeah, that one I consider worse, like I said, than the N64 ones. I know the N64 ones are flawed as hell, and I agree, but I still enjoyed them. I couldn't. I'm like, no, I'm not suffering through this garbage. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I wonder if maybe we should get back on topic.
Yeah, we have just
Well,
been
where's
going
the
around
host? The host is supposed to be the one steering the ship.
Well, apparently I'm co-host, so I guess
Okay.
I'll just bring it back. So going back to Nintendo Switch 2 rumors, one that we haven't talked about, like, I mean, it's not, I don't know if you call it a rumor, it's more like speculation based off recent events, but there was this privatized video, the initial Nintendo Switch first look. It went private a couple days ago, and now people are wondering if this has anything to do with maybe an announcement of some kind, given that last year when they privatized both the OLED and Lite trailers, we got a Splatoon 3 OLED announced a few days later, and then the year before they privatized the Lite trailer, and then we got the announcement of the OLED. So a lot of people are thinking, whoa, okay, well, if they privatize the first Switch trailer, one has like over 50 million views, like maybe like the most important Nintendo trailer ever, and they've never done that before, at least to my recollection, does that mean they're potentially about to announce something?
Maybe
Wait,
not
so
right
just-
away. They're announced. That means it's in the works.
Wait, just to clarify, because I'm not sure I understand, you're saying like the announcement trailer for the original Switch got
Yes,
privatized? Okay.
that first trailer, like where we saw like what the Switch looked like, that came out October 2016. That
Yeah.
trailer, they privated it.
Well, they would definitely do that when they're getting ready to announce a new console, because when people are searching that on YouTube, they don't want that one coming up.
Yeah. Now the
So,
counter
I mean,
argument
it
is
could
that it
be
might be related
anything,
to
but it does
licensing.
make sense. That is something they would do.
Yeah.
It's something they should do. I feel it's like, because if you want to get people to not like, hey, there's a new piece of hardware, then they, like Jake just said, they'll go and look and they'll be like, hey, here's this trailer from 2016, but people don't check, so they'll
Yeah.
just go out and like buy a 300-year-old console.
Now
'cause they
the
don't
thing
know.
is, they might just be checking that box now. You know, that doesn't necessarily mean it's right around the corner. They might just be
No.
getting it out of the way, so by the time they're ready to actually announce it, people have already forgotten about it. That's already been taken care of. You know what I mean?
I don't think they're announcing this thing until after March.
Yeah.
Why would-
that's,
yeah,
that's
why
what
would
I
you-
mean. Like, it could be way down.
You're like a
You
September
wouldn't
launch
announce
guy.
it now.
Yeah, it's definitely because they're not
Holidays.
gonna talk about this before the end of the fiscal year. Guarantee it, because there's no reason to. You're still selling Switches. You're still selling Switch software. This isn't a Switch Wii U situation where they announced it in October for March because nobody gave a fuck about the Wii U, and they had no holiday sales. They had no game sales for it. So it's like, oh,
But they still had the 3DS though. Switch was a fault to both.
yeah, but what happened with
Not
the
at
3DS?
time,
It had
though.
like a year left of games with like Ever Oasis and then Samus Returns, and then like after October 2017, it was just like, okay, we're done with this.
Exactly. It's like the Toy
Yeah.
Story meme where he's like, I don't want to play with you anymore.
Yeah, like they
That's the
moved
Nintendo
on quick
3DS.
from both of those things, probably
Right.
quicker than I think a lot of people would have thought. And I'm still salty that Samus Returns is not on the Nintendo Switch. However, if you use the Citra 3DS emulator, you can play it 4K. Looks
And-
great.
And this is why Nintendo hates you.
Shigeru Miyamoto is going to hang glide into your room and
I
smack your
cannot
ass.
buy the game to support them on the 3DS eShop because they got rid of it. What am I supposed to do? Pay a
Oh no, I
scalper?
agree. I agree with you. I'm just saying that Shigeru Miyamoto is going to come slap your ass.
Well, he
Well,
had
then
someone.
RGT
He had
In that
someone
case,
send me
That's
an
I'm
already
not
email
guaranteed.
before.
That's
If
guaranteed.
Shigeru Miyamoto is going to do that just for that, can you give me the link so I can download that emulator, please?
Well,
So-
Jake is like, I want Shigeru here, man. Here are my cheeks.
No, because for the gameplay, I mean.
You just can't share your pepperoni nips. That's
The pepperoni.
Yeah.
Everybody, I love
Listen,
pepperoni nips. My favorite kind.
This thought is about to fly out of my head because I'm going to forget in Tuesday. Here's the other thing too. They don't want to screw up the holiday sales for the Switch. If they make an announcement now, it's kind of what RGT said, but people will be like, I'm not buying a Switch. They're coming out with the Switch 2 Deluxe, whatever the hell they're going to call it, in a few months. So they don't.
The only-
It's what's up. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say the only way I see anything happening this year would have been if there was a price drop for it, because then it's kind of like
It's
okay,
too late
whatever.
for that.
Right. So yeah. They're not announcing shit this year.
Yeah.
My
I'm
problem
a
is I
little
just don't see
disappointed
why they would
because
privatize the trailer. Like if they're going to leave it private for months, then maybe, but I don't see them leaving it private for months. This usually just only happens for a few days.
Could have been some
but
licensing
they've
issue.
always messed up sequels to successful consoles. So maybe they are trying something a little different. You know what I mean?
RGT brought up a very good point. Maybe there was music or something in there that there was licensing issues that they had to privatize it. That happens a lot.
Yeah, I mean it does happen.
it's
Um,
interesting though because they left the trailer up on every other social media account, including their other YouTube channels.
That's even weirder.
Yeah,
I
that-
bet
that's
you
very
that's
weird.
some kind of
Now I don't
claim
know
or
what to think of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why no
So
one really
you
knows
coulda
what's
got
about.
a copyright claim on it or something,
Yeah.
and
Well,
they gotta, they gotta
Probably
do
from
something.
themselves.
It's
The
probably
last
from
time they
me.
took the last time they took a trailer down was the Switch OLED one right before they announced the Splatoon 3. And then they kept it down for a month and brought it back. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's all speculation because like we don't know what the hell Nintendo's doing.
Right.
Like I don't think it's being announced this year, realistically, but I don't know what the hell they're doing.
No, so for me,
It's
like
Furukawa,
I
baby.
I was
Even if my-
definitely like 90,
whatever.
95%. It's not happening until getting announced until March. But I'll say with this, well, one, there is a whole amiibo theory thing because there's a whole
I'll
bunch
shave
of
my
amiibos
beard
that are
off if it's
getting
announced this
restocks.
year.
Go
That's-
for it.
No, I
You
don't need to
look
look like
clean.
a prepubescent
You
boy.
won't have to keep it clean. You'll always be clean. But I don't know. I'm not. I still think it's probably not getting announced. But I'm definitely entertaining it a lot more now than I was before the trailer was privatized. Because
Is
you
that
have all these
because
amiibos
you're
getting
kind of
restocked,
like
and you have this
as
like
just as a consumer, you're kind of hoping, and is that influencing you a little bit?
no.
Because I think we all would, if we could choose, I think we would want Nintendo to do it in the way that's going to make them the most successful. But barring that, I think we would all want it to come out as soon as possible.
So it for me, it's not like a want thing. For a want thing, I would have. I want it was last year. I would have wanted the system to be announced, right? Like, I wasn't thinking this wasn't happening, but there's just like a few different things that are kind of coming together. Nintendo could announce it this year, but I agree that it's unlikely, given that they haven't announced the price drop. They have games lined up until March. Like, I don't think the system's coming out until at least April. So I do think announcing it now seems like a stretch. But when you consider that they privatized the trailer, which I understand it could be music licensing, but it wasn't last year. It was for an OLED announcement. And the year before that, it was for the OLED announcement.
Good point.
Like, so I just and given that it's already October, they're not going to announce another revision. We just got the Mario OLED for this holiday. So I don't think they're going to announce another OLED edition in October to come out December. Like, it's not that. So either A, it's a music licensing issue, or there's something to this idea that they're going to announce it. Now, we have seen companies showcase new next-gen systems at the Game Awards, like Xbox. So maybe they tease it in December. But again, I still think it's more likely it's coming. It's not going to be announced until March. But I'm entertaining it more now.
I just think like they know, with the new Super Mario Brothers game in the holiday season, that's what they're doing. They're prepping for the next Switch and trying to steer people searching for the Switch away from the old Switch trailer to not confuse people. They want to milk the cash cow one last time from the Switch, and that's why it's going to be very hush-hush, at least for the next few months.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I do think that makes a lot of sense.
Something as simple as the last special edition regular Switch, right? Or Switch OLED.
Yeah,
Well, maybe they're trying to prioritize the Switch OLED.
Yeah.
I guess something else to consider is that maybe it's not a revision. Maybe there is an announcement coming, but it's not Switch 2. It's not a revision. It's just something else.
How about this?
Yeah, that's
how about this?
Yeah,
they're discontinuing the OG Switch.
Maybe that is too. Yeah. Why?
And so they don't even want the OG Switch being advertised.
Yeah,
but it looks exactly like the V2. So there's no visual difference unless you look at the barcode or something, right?
But they okay. So when I said discontinued, that is discontinuing the V2. They don't make the V1 anymore.
Oh, you mean okay. So we're just
the $300 Switch. It doesn't exist
OLED
anymore.
regular Switch just completely discontinued.
So don't okay. That actually, that's an interesting point. Maybe it is that. So I mean, to review Tech's point from earlier, maybe it is a sign of Switch 2, but it's not it's getting announced tomorrow or next week sign. It's just they're gearing up. But this is a several month long process.
I don't know. I feel like that's a bad choice if they did that, unless they cut the price of the Switch OLED. But why would they cut the price of the Switch OLED before the holiday sales? I think the last step will be making it 300 even. Maybe they are going to do that. I don't know.
Because haven't the sales of the Switch slowed down significantly? So if you want to spruce them up, hey, $50 off for the holiday season. Didn't Microsoft do that with the Series S for a while during the holidays a couple years ago?
But I will say, as someone that helps people buy consoles, that even as the Switch has slowed down a lot over the last couple of years, they do pretty much sell out around the holidays still, even last year. So they really don't need the boost for that time. For the rest of the year, they've been needing it desperately, but they still do really, really well for the holidays. So I don't know.
Maybe Mortal Kombat 1 will help the sales of the Switch over the holiday season.
Yeah, something that I've been thinking, because it's not just the privatizing of this trailer, right? There's the Amiibo restocks. There's a lot. Smash, Metroid, Zelda, and Mario are supposed to happen in a few weeks.
Will you explain to everyone that's not as familiar as what Amiibo restocks mean? What
I don't remember the exact dates, so bear with me. But basically, I think within a few weeks from now, there's info suggesting that we're going to get a restocks for a Mario Amiibo line, a Metroid Amiibo line, a Zelda Amiibo line, and a Smash Amiibo line. And having 4 different lines coming out at the same time hasn't really happened before, but typically when there's an amiibo restock of some kind, it tends to line up with some sort of Nintendo announcement. For example, there was an amiibo restock that happened not too long ago, and that lined up with for Smash Brothers, and that lined up with the September Direct and also the Sora amiibo announcement. So a lot of people were thinking that with all these amiibos about to come out, that must sort of hint at some sort of big Nintendo announcement. Obviously, the speculation is Switch 2. But even though, for me, like, that's not enough, right? But there is that. But then also people have noted that there is 2 different, there is the Mario Kart bundle, and there is another bundle. There's another Switch bundle that was kind of announced for this holiday. Was it for Animal Crossing?
It wasn't a
or-
bundle. It was the Animal Crossing Edition Switch Lights.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that and the Mario Kart bundle, those are apparently were coming out sooner.
Oh, I think it is a
than
bundle. Does
prior
it come with the
years.
game?
I
Those
think it
Switch
does.
Lights? Okay. So I guess it is a bundle too.
I'm not certain, but the point is that these things are happening earlier this year than normal. So this is kind of leading people to believe, like, why are they kind of pushing these out sooner? Why are all these amiibos happening? And this is not how they've handled prior holiday seasons. So people were thinking, oh, this must mean Switch 2, but that's arguably confirmation bias. That's what we want. So we're using this evidence to kind of confirm that, but it could be another possibility. Maybe it's just trying to have the biggest bang for this final holiday season where Switch is the focus.
I think that's it. I think they are doing this to prep for new hardware, and it's not confirmation bias, at least for me. It's just like, all right, we want the Switch to again sell this holiday season, but we want to wind it down without people really noticing that we're winding it down, because it'll help us prep for the next gen Switch. That's what I think is really happening. They
Yeah.
don't make a major announcement, but they are going to scale stuff back because they know it's time, but they still want people to go out and buy Switches because that makes them money.
Yeah.
For sure.
For me, I know that based on what people have said on the show tonight, it sounds like everyone's leaning towards the next Switch not coming out till like probably September or later. But for me, that makes me really nervous just for what I just said before, that every holiday they sell out already. So if they release a new console at that time, it's gonna be like the PS5 and Xbox in 2020. It's gonna be a shit show. So I understand it's getting more unlikely every day, but I really hope they announce it in January. Just do 2 months and have it released March or April. Like, I still think that's the best thing for them as a company, but
Yeah.
maybe they know best. I don't know.
But even if, I
Who
mean,
the
yeah,
hell
it'll still be tough to get. But I don't think we're having, that was in peak COVID when when the 9th gen consoles released. Not saying there won't be issues now, but I don't think the issues would be as severe as it was when 2020 was. So it'll still be hard to get one.
But the thing is, last year was 2022, and they couldn't even make enough regular Switches to keep them in stock. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, let's get into some of the questions, some Q&A stuff we got here. Remember, if you guys want to submit your questions, as little as like $2, you just get the question through a super chat, and we'll feature it up. We had this one earlier from the Jostler for $5, saying 3 questions. Longest fart you've ever heard?
That's you know who to ask for that. That's Intro Guy. He's talking to me. Intro Guy can let out like 30-minute farts. Continue. Sorry.
One continuous.
I wish I could. I have one on my soundboard that I did not time stretch. That's like 10 seconds long. Yes.
That's crazy. But maybe the better question is asked not the longest fart you've heard, but smelled.
Oh, dude, there's some horrific, like, those
They
farts
linger.
that linger for like hours. I don't know what, it's like a fog in the air. But anyway, sorry. Let's continue
much
on
broccoli.
from farts.
Yeah.
Best
longest fart.
Metroidvania.
Yeah, best Metroidvania. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Castlevania Symphony of the Night, but that's because I haven't played a lot of the other Metroidvanias. So obviously my opinion is colored or biased.
Yeah, I'm a baby, so I'm going to say Metroid Dread.
I like it a lot. I think I might like Hollow Knight more.
I would say
Hollow Knight is I want to play Hollow Knight. I played some of it. I was like, ooh, this is good.
It's really fun.
Symphony
I like
of the Night or Dawn of Sorrow.
Precise platforming in some parts of Hollow Knight.
Dawn of Sorrow is really good.
Yeah, I love Dawn of Sorrow.
The Game Boy Advance Castlevanias were pretty badass, and DS too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
Dawn
what
of
Golden
Sorrow
Age
was my
was.
first Castlevania game.
Yeah,
It was great.
they
And
like
Breath-
Aria of Sorrow apparently.
And
then
breasts
breasts.
are terrible. Don't ever ask me that question again. I hate breasts.
Yeah. Keep it clean.
I'm sorry,
Keep-
I'm a
we
breast
like
man. My
everything.
bad. That's probably because of me. I'm a breast man. It
No,
happens.
I would never want a pair of breasts smothering my face ever. Continue.
That's not the only. Anyways,
Yeah, let's
keep it clean a little bit. Keep it clean. I was about to go a little too
sip my
deep here.
seltzer, and let's continue.
I heard that in the background.
Yeah,
Breasts.
breast. Yeah,
Breasts are life.
he's getting back up and running here. Let's see here. The Dr. Sexy Coco wanted to know if you'd take your shirt off for $50.
I love
No,
the
because we're
profile
ending
picture.
this now, so you'd be getting ripped off, Sexy Coco, because this is the tail end of this.
Yeah.
You would only see a nipple for a short
Look,
time.
look, I can extend it a little bit.
He's
just
like,
for
wait,
the
I'll
nip.
take my shirt off.
Just for the You know what? Anyways, let's see here. We had Taker 610 just wanting to let us know that Dragon Force released a new song called "Power to the Triforce."
What?
Yeah,
Wait, is that the band that was in Guitar Hero?
Yes.
Yeah, where they're
Yeah.
infamous for.
Okay.
I think the song that was popular when there was Through the Fire and Flames, which is like
That's right.
yeah, something like that.
I don't even
Uh,
like that song that much, but I like their other songs. So is it actually about Zelda? Like this is actually like potentially like
I haven't listened to it. I have no idea.
I've never seen Andres this turned on before in my life.
Literally, yeah. He's super
I mean,
excited.
if you combine speed metal and Zelda, like come on. Anyway,
All right, take it easy.
I don't know if it's
Hey, Eric, talk.
Hey.
Eric is finally back for the end of it.
Did you suck the right mic?
Yeah, I think so. Wait, maybe not.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't.
Mm.
That one. Is that better?
Hey, I
There
can hear you.
go.
I can't hear
Whoa.
you guys. Cool.
I do hear
always
you.
so loud as usual.
Well, he's using a blue Yeti.
No, I was
Just picking
joking
me up.
because he's always so quiet when we say he's so loud.
I hear one of you and the other one's Mike.
Yeah.
I'll fix it. It's a old school mic.
Yeah, we got a really tough question coming up, so I would suggest you mentally prepare for this one.
Mentally prepare. Is this for me?
I'm not sure about that. That's debatable.
Oh. Is it about Cox?
Debatable.
I haven't seen Carlos yet, so
Yeah. Actually, the bird. You haven't seen the bird? Oh yeah, because it's I
it's just
forgot,
off.
this is
Yeah, it's just off.
the
camera.
webcam, so it's too high. Goddamn bird.
All right, get your cock off this
I'm
thing.
loaded. What's going on? I'm cocked and
I
loaded.
already
on this.
whipped
Let's go.
my cock out.
You're
so
gonna
Fire it
hate
up.
me in a couple seconds.
I don't think I'm gonna hate you. Nothing you can say. It's gonna make me hate more than the fact my $800 Rodecaster just died.
Oof.
I think it's under warranty, but I'll deal
But
with that
that's still an oof.
Hey, you ever get your money back from the people that you bought the article from?
later. That's a story for another day. The answer is
Oh.
no. Well, long story short, it's a no.
Well,
Hey.
can I just update them what happened briefly? We don't have to linger on it.
Sure. I wasn't
right,
lingering
so-
on it, but you brought it up.
Well, yeah. Sorry. I just wanted to know if there's any resolution. So last week's podcast, there's this article with a quote about Zelda, but it's paywalled. It's from like this UK paper. It's like one of the biggest papers over there. I forget what it was called. But anyways, it's like you need a subscription to access this, but you can get a free 1 month trial. So he does it just so we can get the full context of the quote or whatever. And then they won't let him cancel. They make him call during their UK business hours to cancel. They say that's the requirement. Then he calls multiple times and they just tell him, oh, sorry, we can't do it till you start being paid. But it says when you start being paid, you're locked in for 6 months. And it's basically like trying to cancel a gym membership. It's fucking crazy. And I just can't believe how they can get away with that.
Got to read the fine print.
Yeah,
but
I
they
guess.
know they know people don't, and that's the gotcha. Not saying it's not the
Yeah.
person's fault, but they still, hey, let me make this as inconvenient as possible. So you just say screw it and keep giving me money. Not that you use my product, we just want to extort you.
Well, I
Right.
want an honest question from all of you guys.
Sure.
There's been every app or program we sign up for, there's usually like several pages of documentation that it's recommended we read. When do we actually read all of that?
Never.
Never. And no
Hope for
one
the
here
best.
does.
That was your question?
Well, I just think it's totally bogus that like
Oh.
that kind of stuff is put there so they protect themselves legally, but can also in theory trap us. But no
Yeah.
one's gonna actually bother to read that. No sane person's gonna actually bother to read that. I would argue
And they
that's a
know
crime, but I'm not a lawyer, so
Wasn't there that thing? I forget what company did it, but they put somewhere in their terms and conditions that, hey, if you read this and let us know, we'll give you $10,000. And it took like 4 years. Someone finally read it and mentioned it to them, and they gave it to them. You guys know what I'm talking
crazy.
about?
No.
yeah.
No,
Well, that's
I really
that's
don't.
that's what a lot of those class action lawsuits end up being about, because like
Exactly.
like when AMD was saying they had 8-core processors that were getting bodied by the quad-core processors from Intel. Yeah, technically they were 8 cores, but the cores would be like 2 of the cores would share some cache, so it was kind of like they were kneecapped 8 cores. So they were kind of misleading the consumer, and people got checks for
Massively.
that. Yeah.
That was really bad. I remember I was so excited. Oh, I got an 8-core processor, and it's like running a dual core. It was just garbage.
Well, yeah, it was like their 8-core processor was competing at the time with current Core i5s that weren't even multi-threaded.
Yeah.
So it was like, what the hell's going on here? Oh, we're the budget choice, though.
Yeah.
Thanks, AMD.
Corey McIntyre just wanted to pay $20 just to say hi to RGT.
No, he
There
said,
it
hey,
course,
hey,
course.
there's
Hey,
a
hey,
lot of
sorry, hey.
implications there.
Get it right. Hey, my bad. So, hey.
And we don't know if RGT is for RGT. It could be an acronym for something else that could just be like mind blowing.
I thought it was Retro Gaming Tube.
It's true.
Retro Gaming Tube. What the
There
hell?
you go.
Is
Retro
it?
Gaming Tube 85.
Yeah.
That was
I'm
an
a
original
real
channel,
fan,
man.
all right, boys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It should be RH.
He's doing the OG callback.
Yeah, that was the original channel name. That was way too
Is
fucking
85
long.
related to a birth year?
Yeah.
Retro Gaming Tube. Oh, wow.
Yep.
That sounds like a Cinco product from Tim and Eric.
Oh, jeez.
The Retro Gaming Tube. I'm sorry.
Has Marga just wanted to say 38 special cameo on Squid Dibbles is perfection. The Squid Billies. I don't even know what you're talking about. I know who 38 special is.
Squidbillies is a great show.
Is it?
Is that like
Oh,
an
fuck
Adult
yeah.
Swim show?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That's why the poop tube. That's why I was thinking of that. Anyway, the Jostler. Sorry.
That's all right.
I'll shut
Hey,
up.
let it out, man. Stay slow.
Donkey Kong Freedom comes out to say, "Hey all, will EPD Tokyo's Donkey Kong be a launch title for Switch 2? Will any of the open world Vicarious Visions games from 2016 be retained?" Well, your last question, I'm just going to say no. I don't know about the first one though.
Well, we don't know. I'm assuming no one here knows. But what
RGT works at Nintendo. That's why they hate him.
Oh yeah,
Right.
that feel free to correct me if you got anything. But with the Vicarious Visions game, right? Like a lot of people kind of when that was first sort of like talked about, a lot of people just thought it was like nonsense. But a few different people actually corroborated the story. But the point is, it's a canceled game, right, from Activision, not Nintendo. But me being the forever optimist, right? Like if Nintendo at least was excited about the idea, maybe they'd be willing to explore some concepts that are similar, but I doubt that the actual project would be retained. But maybe some ideas might have evolved from there.
Yeah, I mean that's a Microsoft game now.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah, the EPD Tokyo one, like that old rumor that's been around for a long time. I think it's a game that's going to come out someday. I don't think it's going to be a launch title. No, maybe that's just because I think 3D Mario, they're not going to pair those two together. They're going to separate them out a bit. But
I agree.
I
I
think
also
we see
think
Prime
that Donkey
Four.
it could be
Kong
year
is
one.
like
It could still be in the first
main
year.
power
Yeah.
that you want in a launch title if you're Nintendo.
Just weird how that stuff, like look at GoldenEye for the N64, the IP ping pong that had to happen for that game to finally come out for the series and for the Switch. Like it took for everyone's like, hey, can we just get GoldenEye on 360? No. The Xbox One? No. It will actually wait. No, yeah, it literally took forever because of all the IP nonsense for that game to actually be re-released.
Man, it's crazy. Just quick shout out to Bama Hut for the gifted members. I'm sure those people appreciate it. My chat is too far scrolled to read it, but thank you, Matt. Let's see here. Chris Gonzalez, he wants to know each of y'all's thoughts on what you think the next Zelda to be released is. It can be a remake, 2D, etc. By the way, excellent cast.
Well, I hope it's an original 2D. That's
Like,
what I
like a
want.
top down.
Yeah, but I mean, and I think a 2D is much more likely than a 3D because I feel like most of their focus was on Tears of the Kingdom. But the other thing that I hope that comes out sometime during the next console, I don't know if it would be next, but I would love to see an Ocarina of Time full-blown remake from the ground
Yeah.
up.
Like an Unreal Engine remake, yeah.
Yeah.
like Unreal Engine 5. I'll say that Kyle was trying to make this argument the other day because there was like an Ocarina of Time HD rumor for a little while back, and I was trying to argue that maybe it's possible. But the main point I wanted to make in that video is that if you look at kind of like Nintendo's history, the first 2 years of every platform, they try to get out some kind of major like mainline Zelda that showcases the system. So with that in mind, like if it's not like for example, Skyward Sword closed the Wii, right? And so what happened on Wii U, we got Wind Waker HD. We go back to DS, we got Spirit Tracks late into the system's life cycle. Like a year and a half later, we got Ocarina of Time 3D. So we just got Tears of the Kingdom to close out the Switch, right? The argument I'm making is that given the track history, that would imply we might get some sort of Zelda remaster or remake in the first 2 years of Switch 2. So I'm optimistic we get something like that. I don't know if it's before we get 2D Zelda, but I feel like the next two Zelda projects is a 2D Zelda and or some kind of Zelda remake / remaster.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like the next Zelda is probably going to be another remaster or a port. Like I could see the Wind Waker or Twilight Princess getting something done in, if not next year, the year after, and then maybe a top-down Zelda after that, then another port / remaster, and then at that point we might start hearing the rumblings and talking about another 3D Zelda. But I mean, it used to be a lot more predictable because Zelda games used to come out a hell of a lot more often, and they don't now. So, I mean, they do in terms of remasters, I suppose, but like we're talking about new games, we used to get them like every other year, every few years for a little while there. Now it's like, hey, we potentially, if there is no top-down one, we might not get a brand new one for 5-6 years. So,
I guess the weird part though is that they're running out of like 3D Zeldas to remaster, unless they remaster Breath of the Wild.
yep.
Which is why I'm thinking that when
That's what
we're
Sony would
talking
do.
about
Which, by the way, there happened to be a remaster demo apparently.
Sony
Yeah.
would have remastered Breath of the Wild 2 years ago.
Yeah, they'd be talking about their third remaster for launch
Exactly.
right now.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess maybe it's just because it was just on Switch. Like if they release Breath of the Wild 4K 60, like that would be cool. But I already have the game. Like I don't know if I would spend $70-$60 just to play the game again with better specs. Unless they added if they added new content, then my answer would be emphatically yes. But without like new playable content, I would be on the fence at best.
I could see them
Personally.
locking DLC for Tears of the Kingdom behind a Switch 2 version, and that's why they didn't do any DLC.
And that would be fine for me if it comes out like say 2 years from now, where it's enough of a gap where people won't be mad.
I think they'll still be mad.
You know, people are mad
Yeah.
regardless, but less
Yeah.
people.
Switch
You can
2
tell
just
Sean
needs to have-
cares passionately about this topic.
just needs that backwards compatibility. If it doesn't, then I'll rage.
It might-
Yeah, you gotta get
why
him
not?
talking about like a good, like what's the next good wrestling game gonna be? That'll get Sean.
Someone asked a question that he's gonna like. It's about his favorite company.
Yeah, that one is coming up. Bears fan Guma just wanted to let us know he's loving the discussion. Thank you, man.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
the
sir.
support. The elemental hero, the Shadow Link Dragon Wolf King, says for everyone
Short
could
name.
this
Yeah.
very
You
short.
should lengthen your
That's
name
me.
a little bit.
I would it actually go to a line 2 if it filled up the entire top? I don't know.
It's such a good name though.
Anyways, for everyone, could the Switch 2 come out this year or early 2024 that Nate the
No.
Hate mentioned? He mentioned the March thing from Gamescom. They speculated on that. No one seems to know what it means yet. With the DLSS, do you think the cartridge will be upgraded?
I think they would have to upgrade the I/O speeds of the cartridge just for streaming assets quicker off of it. But in terms,
Yeah.
they wouldn't. I'm not Richard Ledbetter, shockingly, but I don't think that would have anything to do with deep learning super sampling the
Nah.
cartridge. But in terms of like bigger open world games, getting the assets off of the cartridge quicker, it's going to have faster transfer speeds.
Yeah, it was speculated before they might go to 3D NAND, and because for some reason Switch doesn't even use that in their cartridges, so that is faster. So, but that could just all be because they're trying to work on load times and stuff that we saw supposedly with the Breath of the Wild demo.
Was much quicker.
Was quicker, yeah. So it could be a load time thing for cartridges. I don't think it really has much to do with DLSS, but who really knows? I'm not like
Well, I will say,
an expert on that. So.
I asked someone who's more tech savvy about this, but because beforehand I was wondering, well, since DLSS is an AI upscaler, right? It takes the image and uses artificial intelligence to improve the resolution. Does that mean that they could use like perhaps like lower resolution textures, so there's less actual like space being taken up on the cartridges? And when I asked my more tech savvy friend, they're like, no, they would still have to have a lot of extra storage to have higher resolution textures, even if they're using DLSS. So I guess to answer the question, they may still need to upgrade the cartridges. Like,
Oh,
at least
yeah.
Well, they're
the
going to upgrade
storage
them
space.
anyways. Why do you know those
Yeah.
third-party games are massive? But they have to have.
Yeah, we need more storage space.
Yeah.
What's the max size of a cartridge now? Like 64 gigs if necessary, right?
Yeah,
For
but
a
nobody
Switch
uses
game?
it. 'cause
Yeah,
it's
nobody
No,
uses
it's
it.
too
So yeah.
expensive,
a lot.
right?
But
Yeah.
yeah, they do have them if like someone wants to use it, but nobody does because they're so expensive.
Yeah, they just compress the living shit out of the games. Is what they do.
Or just have you download it.
Yeah, I love that. It's like, just you get the box and you open it up and it's like IOU with a code on it. It's a lot of physical games, baby.
It's such
Yeah.
a shame because one of the reasons I love cartridges so much is because it's like the idea behind is that you shouldn't have to download anything else. It shouldn't have to be installs. You can just kind of like jump in and go, but that doesn't always work out.
Physical
Hey,
media.
I
is
appreciate
already
you, Joycey J. Thank you for that.
Physical media is already dead. Let's
Yep.
just keep it real. You could. I look, man. I understand why I don't want physical media to go away either. But when you're buying a game right now, try to play that game without all the patches and the updates. Good luck with that. Have fun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I am impressed a little bit that Spider-Man 2 is going to be completely playable on the disc without any updates.
As
But
it should be.
Even a game like that, Insomniac released a statement being, we highly recommend you do the day one patch for a much better
Yeah.
experience. So it's like even a game that technically is like they're like, hey, full game's on a disc, you can play it without any internet. Even that, like the best of the best, is still not fully on the disc, really. You know what I mean?
It's crazy to me because when my children finally hit adulthood, I don't think there will be any physical games, which means they're going to have most of their life no physical media of any kind.
They're not going to have downloadable games. It's all going to be from the cloud at that point. In like 20
Cloud
what,
streaming,
22?
yeah, maybe.
You're gonna be able to be like naked. in
Only
the
like
woods
the
with bears.
super rich people might have it local because you have to buy your own server at that point.
We'll get, it's like kind of like when you think about the internet in the 90s, like you would look where it is. It's everywhere now. There's going to be where clouds gaming is. You're going to be able to be up in the woods, in the mountain, maybe naked playing games.
Well,
What is
definitely
the
naked.
quote
That's not
that's
even an option.
In
No,
a hammock.
You actually get faster download speeds if you're naked playing cloud gaming. So it'll actually be a
Absolutely.
smoother
There's
experience.
less interference.
But
That
all-
way. It makes a lot of sense.
I'll stop being stupid for a second, but it's going to get to the point where you're going to have like really fast internet anywhere you go. And once that happens, where the infrastructure worldwide or can handle it,
Yeah.
we're not going to be there yet. But will it happen? Yeah, it is. It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when. And it's everyone's guess, including the corporations, when that's going to happen. Is there going to be a PS6? We don't know. Probably. But it's still like, it may, I don't even think they know when it will be ready. It may be ready quicker than they think, or it may be way out there
They're
Think-
targeting 2028.
for full clouds like gaming.
Oh no, I thought you meant for PS6.
Okay,
Well, PS6,
Yeah.
I heard that too. You're right. Yeah.
but they
From the
may
same
not be
guy.
sure if that's going to
All the
be
other stuff.
digital only or not.
XSplit.
Yeah, I heard
Um,
that too.
Sammy Talks About Game says, I know this is going to stir the pot. Well, the pot's always stirred around here. Do you think Baldur's Gate 3 or Tears of the Kingdom wins Game of the Year?
Baldur's
I
Gate
actually think it's
3?
going to be Sonic Superstars. So end of discussion.
Should be.
Ooh,
I'm too stupid to play either of those games, so I have no. I've
See,
tried.
see,
to
I didn't
play-
even play Baldur's Gate 3, but I still think it's gonna win.
I got to bet. I got to stick with it. Tears of the Kingdom.
Well, didn't
think
Tears of
Tears
the
of the
Kingdom
Kingdom
recently
will
pass it on
I'll send you
Metacritic?
my extra Giannis jersey for the occasion. Don't worry.
Yeah, we have a bet going. He has to wear a Celtics jersey if Baldur's Gate 3 wins, and I have to wear a Bucks jersey.
Yeah,
if,
I think
Tears
one
of the
review
Kingdom
came in
wins.
for Baldur's Gate 3 that dragged it under Tears of the Kingdom. At least I heard that. I don't know if I haven't double checked if that's true.
I'm like
That is
DSP gaming.
tampering. That is full blown tampering.
I'm DSP gaming levels of bad when it comes to solving puzzles, so that's why I couldn't mess with Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom is the perfect game for you then.
My brain turns to mush.
But what about
you can do that.
Baldur's
What
Gate
he's
3? It has
saying is, like, if
tentacles
you-
and stuff.
You can just like brute force through it. Like people that don't solve puzzles, it's not like past Zelda games where you have to solve the puzzle. It's like if you're like too dumb, like I'm the same way, so I don't mean that. It's like an insult. You can just like find
No,
ways.
it's okay,
That
I'm
No, you meant
dumb.
it as an insult to Inch. To be honest,
It's not. It's okay.
you were keeping it
because I
clean there
am-
for a second.
Hey, I'm trying to keep it clean. I was saying that I was dumb. But wait, RGT, you said Tears of the Kingdom for Game of the Year. You think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
You
100.
said not 100% or 100%?
No, 100%. It'll
Oh, okay.
win. 100%.
Wow. All right.
Why do you think that over Baldur's Gate 3? What's your reasoning?
What's a sexier title?
I mean, I really do like the of though. There's a lot of curves in that. So
I like that Tears of the Kingdom just got called sexy. So
Yeah. How is it?
It's-
You can have sex with bears in Baldur's Gate. You can't do that.
Yeah, but what's
you do save the
gonna
girl.
what's gonna appeal more to people?
Wait,
What's
you can
gonna-
have sex with bears? Now I got to go play it.
You gotta
Oh,
look
yeah.
at the people that are in charge. I assume we're talking about the Keeley Awards. You gotta look at
Yeah.
the
I mean,
people
yeah,
that are
it's it is
Billy
so
Awards.
political.
you know, it's very political. You have
Well, but-
people that have no fucking business talking about video games, like Newsweek, that are considered
that are
panel-
voting.
that
Yeah.
are voting.
Yeah.
The average Newsweek person, Baldur's Gate 3, not my style of game. It could be the most amazing game of the year, but if you say, okay, Baldur's
Newsweek.
Gate or Zelda, Newsweek's going to be like, oh, Zelda. I don't
Yeah.
know what this Baldur's Gate
Newsweek
thing
didn't
is.
even
So,
play Baldur's Gate. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, LA Times, shit like that. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Who won it last year again? What were the big games? Just remind me.
I don't even remember who won it last year.
Not Xenoblade Chronicles 3,
No, it was Elden Ring. It was Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Elden
which was
Ring,
fitting.
God.
Yeah. Paul
And there was
Never
a
just wants
lot
to make sure to
more
shout out an indie
games
title. Ghost
With
Song.
more recognition than a From Software game that ran that year, but Elden Ring still won.
Elden Ring.
I mean,
too many
look-
hours into that.
the only one that I think could have knocked it off was God of War. Because
True,
when you look at the names, you got A Plague Tale Requiem, you got
Yeah,
Elden
I was
Ring,
thinking
God of War
too
Ragnarok.
when I said that, so maybe that's the only one.
You got God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I mean,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah,
to
true,
me,
though.
that's a toss up between Elden Ring and God of War.
I
And
agree.
Elden Ring probably had the better press throughout the year, coming out as a complete game, and you know, this,
Mhm.
that, or the other. No bugs, no major bugs. You know, no issues, no microtransactions, shit like that. You know, maybe they wanted to be a little bit different, so they went with Elden Ring instead of God of War. But you know, it's a coin toss.
Yeah.
Here's a
Fair.
take that's at least medium heat. I think that the next Monolith Soft game on Switch 2 will get more attention than Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and perhaps leading to more votes at the Game Awards as well.
We'll see.
My thinking is just because the Switch 2, from a technical perspective, will be much greater, and I think you look at what Monolith Soft can do with just Switch hardware. That whatever kind of game they make will really appeal to the Game Awards
Oh,
audience.
yeah, and I also think creating a new franchise, like starting from the beginning, will help too, because a lot of people see Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and they think they have to play the first two. They don't realize it's like Final Fantasy, where they're all
Yeah.
like their own thing. Even though they are definitely more connected, the characters you play as their own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can be played in any order. Like it doesn't really matter. But the general consumer doesn't know that. They just see that it's the third one, and they think they have to play 1 and 2. That's like how so many people think. So
Yeah,
I think
I gotta
it'll
take a
help them.
whiz, but keep this topic. I'll be right
Wait,
back. I gotta.
I will keep it. Yep.
No, bring the
Right.
camera with you.
I can't.
Doctor
want- no,
Doctor
the whole
disrespect.
death.
You got a smartphone. First
Doctor
person,
disrespect time.
first
Come on.
person
You got the
perspective.
invite link. You can rejoin.
Yeah, exactly.
He could do it with
open
this
the
one if he
invite
really
link
wanted
on your
to.
phone. What the heck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
first person.
Yeah, what was I
perspective.
doing
You
letting my dog go? That's why my shit broke. I should have
should've-
done it on my
If you're
phone.
going to the
Yeah,
bathroom,
just show, you don't
unless
have
you have a bladder problem, you should be
You
good
can
now. Put the
stream it.
costume back on.
you don't have to show the peen. You just show the stream, and it's a good time for everybody.
Look,
Yeah,
I'm not going to report you
it's
to
a
the
hand steady.
authorities. We're good.
I'm going to shut up now. Continue. I'm sorry.
No, I'm
It'd be
I'm
funny though if
enjoying
he had
it.
it at a point and then flush when he was done.
Yeah, I'm more interested in what Richard's
Drop.
saying. All right.
Bama had brought up a topic that I know RGT wants to respond to, so we'll hold it for a bit here. What are your thoughts about the analog doing a 4K N64
I'm hard.
that was just announced this week? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm rock hard for it. You know what's funny, all kidding aside, is that they didn't think with a FPGA they could have done it at first. That's why they're like, we can't get the N64. We can't program the FPGA to run the N64 properly. Probably not gonna happen. I guess they figured it out, and that'll be awesome because it's analog, man. They're gonna do it right. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be like some piece of crap, knockoff crap.
Their other consoles, they play the Evercade like cartridges, right?
Yes, Evercade
Yes.
is cool. The Evercade is cool. I will give it.
Oh
that.
no, I'm sorry, not Evercade. That's not what I'm thinking. EverDrive.
Yes.
They play those, right? Like their consoles can play
Yes.
those in the past. Okay, because I have an
I've tried 'em
N64
numerous times,
EverDrive
yeah.
with the whole library, so that would be dope. I'd like that.
Yeah. So my
Oh,
thought process
it
is
out?
like, it like for me it's interesting, right? Because me, the Nintendo fanboy, is like, oh, okay, N64 4K. That sounds pretty good.
Oof,
But
that was
with
not-
Switch 2 coming out, and
Yeah.
they're probably being in a solar, we're gonna have N64 and 4K on that.
Oh, look, I'm a fat, unattractive Vanna White. I'm showing this off. But yeah, it's you could play all of the EverDrive card with Crick's easy. Yeah, it worked perfectly.
Yeah, Cricks, right?
Yep.
Okay, nice.
Because that's what analog's goal is to program the FPGA so it's exactly. They say the best way to look at an FPGA is not emulation, it's simulation. So this is really Super Nintendo in here, and that's how they made the FPGA work, and that's why all the different accessories, like you could buy the Sega Genesis, the Mega SG, and that'll work flawlessly. I think I put it in a review I did. It'll work flawlessly with the Sega CD. They even give you the pad to put and slide the Mega SG on there because it is the hardware. It's just, well, it's better. If if you don't care about collecting, you're not buying a Genesis or whatever for the collection, for being a collector, this is the way to go,
Yeah.
So anyway,
Worst
man, that's a lot of,
in the world.
what analog? Yeah, they're how they sell shit. They make me angry. I agree with you.
They make limited run look like saints, in my opinion. At least limited run adapted their business model. I remember I'd be there on the front lines, 10 a.m. or 6 p.m. You had 2 opportunities to get their products, and everyone got pissed. Now they do open pre-orders. Analog, if anything, they get worse about their ordering stuff. It's an
So agree
absolute
with you.
shit show. It's an absolute shit show. And if they gave a fuck about the consumer and their standard market, they wouldn't allow you to buy 2 of these products. But they allow you to buy 2, so you can scalp one of it. Like, that's the only reason why. If you look at the analog, the translucent ones that they came out with, the glow in the dark ones, they allowed you to buy 2 of those. Nobody needs 2 of those. At the very least, you're buying a second one for yourself because you already got the other pocket. It makes it a pain in the fucking ass to get something, and they don't care. They still have products that they have not released yet. People have ordered the analog pocket from pre-orders, the initial one. They have not gotten theirs yet. But these translucent ones that they just happen to make some, these glow in the dark ones, they just happen to make some, were already available and sent to people. There's still people waiting on the Analog Pocket. Where's the TurboGrafx 16 CD thing that you showed off that was supposed to come out in 2023? That's completely gone. They haven't said a fucking peep about it. Why? Because enough people weren't signing up to be notified about the pre-orders. So you were like, oh, people aren't interested in this. We're not going to sell out of them in 10 seconds.
Fucking interested in that. Yeah. And what annoys me about it too is that, like, I want to give them money for these products. They guess I can't get them. All right, so I'll keep the money in my wallet.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Their business model is fucking terrible. Their products are great. I like their products, but at the same time, like their shitty business model makes them so unattractive.
I'm learning a lot as someone who's never attempted to
Fake
buy their products
scarcity.
before.
Yeah, it's fake scarcity. It's their whole business model relies on FOMO. And I'm not talking about Destiny FOMO with their big milkers. I'm talking about the bad FOMO.
What the hell? I never
Shout out to Destiny FOMO.
My goodness, I've never.
Shout out to big milkers everywhere.
Big milkers
Yes.
everywhere. Shout out.
Yeah,
I don't know
listen. Shout out to big breasts. Okay,
I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but
No,
Hey,
I've never
that's
noticed
that. Hey,
No
that's
idea.
keeping it clean, chat. I know what you're gonna say, but that's complimenting half the population.
The
all right?
RGT just went like boom,
That's sending a
90
kindness.
degrees. Got us all talking about breasts, but yeah, here's the thing. Beyond their RGT is 2000% correct. Beyond their absolutely abhorrent business model, which I loathe, Analog. The Analog 64, whatever the hell they're going to call it, is going to be off the charts. I hope they actually come out with the TurboGrafx 16. I will fucking I'm going to piss off RGT. I'll buy 12 of those things because I love it.
that's fine.
I'm joking, but I'm saying, like,
No, if you want to, I mean, you got the money, fucking do it.
you know, they make. I do have a couple of the Super NTs and the Mega SGs. I got one to review. They sent me a review, and I liked it so much I bought another one to support it. You make good products, but RGT's right. This game of, hey, you have to wake up at 6:42 a.m. and you have 10 milliseconds to get it, or you're fucked in the ass.
Yeah,
it
it's
makes
like
me angry.
The average consumer is an old person who has a job and they're at work and they
Exactly.
can't, you know,
Especially
it's
for
not
this product.
Yeah, it's high end.
No one younger than their 20s wants like a nice like Game Boy Advance, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's a high end product that's high price. You know, you could buy the GB Boy Color that takes Game Boy cartridges the same way that, you know, it's a fraction of the price. You know, it's a high end niche product. And at first, when you're starting out in business, I can understand lower runs because you don't know if people are going to be excited for this. You don't know if people are going to be, you know, interested.
You literally
in your
go to
products.
business if you mess it up. Yeah.
Right. So I understand that. I understand. That's why I give limited runs a little bit of leeway because of the fact that they were a smaller company. I remember visiting Limited Run when back in the time when they only did PlayStation 4 stuff. They didn't have access to Nintendo stuff and they didn't have access to anything else. It was just PlayStation. I went to their offices.
Well, they did Vita
North
stuff
Carolina.
too when they launched, right? Or am I?
Did they
What?
do Vita? At launch?
Did
they
they
did
didn't
do
do Vita when they started? It was just
Did
PS4.
they? It
Vita
might
I
have
thought they
been.
did.
I don't know. There might have been Vita in there too, but it was
Okay.
just PlayStation.
Anyways, sorry, I digress.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And like it was literally two dudes. They had this office that shit was just all over the fucking place. You know, they had like a little boardroom area. The other side of the office, there's a little hallway, and then there was another office. That was their studio where they made games. What was it? Mighty Rabbit Studios, I think it was called. 'Cause a few of their first few games, they were actually in-house games. So they didn't know what the fuck.
Breach and Clear was them, right?
Yeah, Breach and Clear. So they
Yeah.
didn't know what the fuck they were really doing. They were just like, well, you know, we want to make physical game. Let's see how it goes. And then as time went on, they got way too big for their britches. People started getting mad about it. So they at least adapted their business model. You could talk about shipping times, and I'm right there with you. I don't buy anything from them. Did I buy the Jurassic Park thing? Maybe. Go fuck yourself. But, you know, at least they allow me to give them money. It might take for fucking ever for the product to show up. My Shredder's Revenge took for fucking ever. I haven't even taken it out of the goddamn brown box that it came in. It's just sitting on my kitchen table. But at least it eventually came, and at least I was able to give them money. You can't do that with analog.
Right.
It's
Analog,
ridiculous.
here's a perfect example. I would have bought a Pocket from you. I would have bought it or pre-ordered anyway the whatever you're calling the TurboGrafx 16 because I know they're doing the CD-ROM drive on it. Like you're losing money. We are the market, like RGT said. It's you're having older generation consoles that you're making into these FPGA pieces of hardware. Like, why don't you want my money? Okay, like what? It's just you're shooting yourself in the foot.
And they've been
without
doing
even
it too
realizing
long at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's there's no
Yeah.
excuse for it anymore.
Well, for companies like them, they don't have software sales. So they don't
Right.
care if it all goes to scalpers or not because
Oh,
they're
yeah.
not going to make any more money after the fact. So all they
Right.
care about is selling them. And then one other thing I just wanted to mention was that limited run used to be exactly like that. They would put their shit up for sale. It would be gone in 10 seconds and that would be it. But when they started to get bigger, they started doing what they still do now is they give you a full month and they
Yep.
just take all the orders, however many it is, and then they know how many to make from that.
Yeah,
And then,
that
they
model.
work out the
That's
deal.
like
And
that's like the
and hopefully
GoFundMe
Analog's
Kickstarter
getting to the
model.
point where they can do that now because it is getting
Yeah.
a little ridiculous.
It's
I mean,
yeah,
limited
it's
limited run just
frustrating.
switched to like the Kickstarter model where you get everyone's money now, and then you just get all your orders in, and you just when shit's done, it's done. And you get
Yeah,
it.
and aside from being delayed, it works out really well. I mean, it's a tough
Yeah.
way to when you don't know how many you're going to make. Obviously, it's going to take a long time to get them out.
Yeah.
That's what
But I think
GPU does.
they're probably doing the best. They're doing it the best way possible. I think.
Oh, it's better than as RTG brought up, releasing a new model of something that you never even finished filling all the prior pre-orders for, and then
Mhm.
sending
Yeah,
people
that's
that
so
up.
fucked up.
Like that's messed up. You still have people on a waiting list wanting the original shit. You're just like, fuck you. Here's a new one that if you didn't get on this one, now you don't get it. Well, that's just.
I literally still have my pre-order for the Amico. I'm still waiting on that, Tommy.
You know, I got
They can get
I'm not
Shark
kidding.
Shark
I,
and Astro Smash
I
on the
did-
Switch.
Tommy sent me a DM and he was like, "I'm
Richie,
going to
you-
my high school reunion in Boston. Do you want to come meet me and play the Amico?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I played it for like a couple hours.
Wait, really?
Yeah, and it was so bad that like I just didn't ever make a video on it because I just felt bad.
Oh man, you're nicer than me. I would.
I have all the footage and stuff, but yeah,
That's hilarious.
Oh man.
See,
See,
Richie, you got to go to one of his. What is he? You said he's like an orchestra director or something right now.
he
You gotta-
has the video games live thing. Like
all right.
he talks so. You know what's funny is that
You
he
just show
talk-
up there holding the sign.
Well, he also told me that he actually DM'd me one time after I consistently called him out for his company being bullshit,
Yeah.
which it was. He actually DM'd me one night and said that I need to see it, like I need psychological help. The irony coming from him. Yeah, he just poof, vanished, disappeared, and now he's just back to doing video games live like it never happened. Even
Yeah.
though he was the guy who was like, "Oh, I'm going to prove the haters wrong by going into the witness protection program."
Boo Many here. So, do you guys think the next Switch will have two types, like the current Switch and a Switch Lite, or will it just be one Switch option released?
So can I add to this?
I
Do
know
we
what you're
think
going to
there's
say.
credibility that there's going to be a digital model?
100%, 200%. I knew you were going to say it. and
I don't
you
even
didn't.
think you need
launch?
a rumor to think
On
that.
launch,
Yes.
I
on
I
launch.
will fight back on launch. I say no. There will not be a digital
Why, if
model
they're
at
two,
launch.
why their two competitors did it, and Nintendo like they followed
Because what market does Nintendo care about the most? What's their most important market? Not in sales, just in terms of them as a company. What is
Kid
everything pander, everything cater to? Where do
Kid.
all decisions and business decisions emanate from, and every other Nintendo of branch follows suit as just a marketing company?
Love
Kids
hotels.
you're talking about?
Japan.
Are you talking-
Japan? Nintendo
Oh.
of Japan. Nintendo of Japan is Nintendo. Nintendo of America,
Yes,
marketing
yes.
firm. Nintendo of Europe, marketing firm. In Japan, when you look at physical game sales, they still account for over 70% of the market. The Nintendo Switch, 76% of the market. There's no, I will bet my beard on it that there's no way that they're going to introduce an all digital system. While we would view it as an option, a lot of people there would view it as a priority. and I
What
do not see them doing that.
What if
'Cause
they just don't release the digital version in Japan?
I was just gonna say that.
I still don't see why you do that at launch. I still just do not see why you do that at launch. What's the benefit? What kind of cost cutting are you doing?
Well, I mean,
Well,
if they
they-
want to
that-
get
it-
like a mainstream price point of $300, maybe that's kind of their
But you
angle.
don't need that.
But it's still hardware they would take out that would cost money to put in a cartridge slot. It still would save them money.
A few
it-
pennies.
yeah, a few
That
pennies
depends
and
on the
corporations.
emulation model, though. Because if it's if it's emulating, yeah, but if it's actually like they're just shoving like the Tegra X1 inside there, that's a
Oh, you're
whole
talking
other
about
chip.
backwards compatibility.
Yeah,
Right,
that's a
well,
whole
have
and that's a
to-
whole
yeah.
nother story too.
Well, that would be another selling point to upsell people. It's like, hey, you want backwards compatibility? Here's your hole. That was.
I will spend whatever money it takes to make sure my
But
Switch
it's-
is backwards.
but it's
I'm
true.
like, we're
Like,
going
I'm
on
gonna
an
buy
adventure
the-
down
I'm
Richard's
gonna-
hole right now.
I'm gonna buy the one with the hole to put the cartridges, especially if it has the backwards compatibility. But RGT is right. Like maybe they'll just do a physical one at launch because in Japan physical is king still. So
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at
valid
how
point.
you look at how the Xbox and the PS5 sold in Japan, and granted, those companies did not care about Japan at all. They shafted them, but still, even when it became more readily available, they're not selling the same way the Switches are selling, at least in terms of number of units. And the Switch is a 7-year-old system, so I think part of the hesitation is those companies offering a digital model, or potentially could be, they see that and they're like, okay, the writing's on the wall now. We're not interested. So I think if they do it, even if they don't do it in Japan, if they release a digital model, it's kind of sending that same message. So I think there is some credence to what you're saying, RGT.
Yeah, it's interesting because I wasn't like seriously contemplating this because it originally came from a rumor that had a lot of other stuff attached to it that didn't really seem right. Like
Right,
the
yeah.
code name being NG, which that's obviously not what the code name is.
They're being $50 price point, like that doesn't.
But then
seem right.
Then Nathan hit on his podcast
Difference.
that they talked about that exact rumor, and then he mentioned that he had actually also heard about this, all digital potential Switch, but he doesn't have enough information to corroborate it and everything. But it made me start realizing, well, everyone else has done it. Would Nintendo dare to do it at launch? Like that's the big thing to me is like I think it'll happen. There'll be an all digital.
Definitely,
Switch.
eventually,
Eventually, sure.
Just
At
well,
launch, though, I don't think so. I could be wrong.
Yeah, but it's not like any of us know. Yeah, there's.
I mean, how
Yeah, well,
often
the
has
only thing
Nintendo
I-
released 2 SKUs at launch? They did it for the Wii U. That didn't work out well for them. Is there
And that was
another
it.
example where they had 2
That was
SKUs?
such an awful
Oh,
choice.
you bet your beard on this one, RGT. Ooh.
I'll bet my beard on it.
Oh, that's what the chat saying. They're
The
saying
only
you bet
thing
your
I
beard
think
on
that
it.
might be that Nintendo, like I said before, I think Nintendo would be like, "Ooh, hey, if you want that backwards compatibility, you got to get the cartridge slot." So who knows?
Well,
'cause
I
Nintendo's a
think-
big market.
Yeah, you said that a couple times, Rich, but I just want to point out they, in a couple of their official shareholders meetings, they've said that the next system is still going to use the same online account system. So even if you don't get the cartridge slot one, if you bought the games digitally, you should still have backwards compatibility if they're having backwards compatibility. But yes, you'd have to buy the cartridge one to
To
play
use
any
your
games you
physical
own
games.
physically.
Mm.
It would just be so
But I still think
weird.
the digital one will be backwards compatible if they're having backwards compatibility just through your Nintendo account.
You're
Oh.
fired, Jake. You're fired from this podcast for making logical points.
All right.
This is not a logic-based podcast.
Yeah, you have to.
Sorry.
Be, yeah, I'm not. I
Nah,
don't
he-
have as much common sense.
He
as you have.
brought out his true self in the 2-inch destroyer, and now it's just no one can win against him.
2-inch.
So yeah, valid point. Okay, I'll shut up.
Michael Lorenzo II said, "What resolution do you think the Switch 2 will be in handheld mode?"
200p.
Yeah, 360p.
I think they're going to keep it at 720.
I think so too.
That's then they should have an OLED panel in there. God damn it! But anyway,
They should. No, I do. I
agree
totally
with
agree.
that.
But they're going to save that for the OLED version to release later.
I
know-
think it will be greater than 720p.
Are you trying to say it's going to be a betweener, like a 900?
Could be 900.
Potentially.
That would be fine.
I don't know
What's
how
the-
that works,
what's
but
the
potentially.
PlayStation Cloud screen?
1080p.
Okay.
The porthole, the butthole.
I just figure
Yeah.
720p gives them because obviously it's going to be downclocked or whatever it is in handheld. I just sort of think 720p is just an easier target to hit for games and everything too.
But not every game's gonna need that extra horsepower.
A lot of them are.
A lot of them will.
because we're deep. We're getting.
I mean,
deep into
indie games
next gen.
won't, but
You know, I just wish I would be perfectly happy because I kind of almost feel like they have to go above 720p. I wish I was
So if
like
you-
sitting there with a bunch of sweaty Asian men and just said to them, like, look, everyone's happy with the OLED panel at 720p.
yeah.
If that costs the same, you don't have to up the resolution. Why I said that they're sweaty Asian men, I don't know. I'm guessing it's hot in the office, but let's
Yeah.
It gets a little warm.
It gets warm in our offices. I
You-
can't imagine when you're with a bunch of other men. in the
Oh
same room.
God, my armpits would be dripping too if I was in a hot office. But like, like Nintendo, if it costs the same to do 720p, even in 2023, people would be fine with it if that means you could put an OLED screen on it. But you know,
Yeah,
the hell
I
am
guess for me, it's stuck in my head that it's going to be 8 inches, and I know that's a rumor, right? So
Mhm.
like, it's not guaranteed.
6
that's
inches
what it's
too
going to
many.
be.
Exactly.
8 inches is what it's got to be. Like
I
now
hate
that
this
now
thing,
that
that
I
screen.
now that I think that's a possibility, like that, like I'm going to be disappointed otherwise. Not really. I won't care.
Well,
it's, like, the
if it
same
was the
size.
exact same size as the Switch OLED,
I
I'd be
wouldn't.
happy.
I won't actually care. But I will be disappointed if they don't think of something they can do with that screen where it doesn't feel like an improvement over their current offerings. So if it's 720p,
I would
then
love
it
if they
better
went
be-
mini LED, man. I'd be happy then. But
Yeah.
they're not going to do that.
let me tell you something. If you play like a game, what's a game that really looks next gen, and you were even playing it at 720p OLED, you would be happy with that screen. If it
Yeah.
was, if you
No
were
one
seeing-
complains about the resolution on the OLED.
The new Monster
at
Hunter
all.
would probably be pretty great.
Yeah, I'd love the OLED screen on the Switch. I think things look so good on it.
Mhm.
It also helps that I don't have like OLED TVs in my house, so it actually literally is like the best looking it gets for me.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm just gonna stick by that. Like something that's kind of neat about the Switch is that because people take it with them to play, it's kind of like marketing, right? Like you see someone on the plane playing a Switch, and you're like, "Whoa, what's that?" Right? So if Nintendo has a Switch 2 and it just looks like a Switch, I just personally think they're going to do something with the screen that's going to kind of suggest it's better than what was before. So if they have this basically same size 720p that's not OLED, I just don't see how that's going to work. So I think it's gonna be better.
IPS.
Look, they're going to show Call of Duty on the thing, and you'd be like, can't do that on the Switch.
yeah, because
Anyways.
Microsoft said they're going to be coming out with Call of Duties for the next gen Switch. So
that deal's
Yeah.
official now, right?
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, it's done.
it's
Locked
going
in.
to happen.
It's active now. Should go into effect with the next one
Yeah.
next November.
I'm kind of
Probably.
hoping that they release Black Ops 2 remastered for Switch 1.
Yeah.
Nah, ain't going to happen. I don't think.
And then he had a second part. He had another question. Basically, are any of us going to personally review Mario Wonder? Eric, you're totally going to review Mario Wonder, aren't you?
Hey, Eric, you've
I know,
been
I'm
talking
shutting
enough
up
already.
right? You just
I know.
pipe down a little bit.
Yeah, sorry, I talk way too much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for acknowledging it.
Quick question before we move on, though, because Review Tech, you said you don't think a remaster would happen. I mean, obviously, there's nothing. It's just like me just kind of wish listing, right? But would they put current Call of Duty on Switch 1, or are they just going to ignore Switch 1 entirely? Because I think that system's still going to be like out in the market for another 2 years.
It doesn't have the hardware to handle it, even like an
I
instant
agree.
Call
Right.
of Duty game.
So
They didn't even bring the mobile version, which would have made them bank on the Switch
Well-
over to the Switch.
I guess part of like the argument with that that legal case is that they might have been able to bring it over to Switch if they really wanted to. So I guess the question is, if they have this deal going, will they just do the Switch 2 version, or will they have something for Switch? And that's why I entertain the possibility of a remaster, because obviously that's easier than getting over current Call of Duty.
I could see them maybe bringing Switch Mobile to the, or not Switch Mobile, Jesus Christ, bringing Call of Duty Mobile over to the
Okay.
original Switch.
Sure,
I could see them doing
that
that.
makes sense. Yeah.
Which actually isn't terrible, but I just don't think it has the hardware grunt to handle a current gen, even if it's like cross gen.
Maybe
even
they
if
do
they could-
cloud. That's another way to kind of get there on.
I don't even want to think about that.
I know, and I'd rather smack a brick across my head. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
But technically, every Resident Evil's on Switch. If you-
I've
Cloud.
tried the cloud. Yeah, the cloud.
It's fucking terrible.
Yeah, I could eat my ass.
Yeah, I don't play it.
To answer your question that you asked, Nate, I'm probably not going to be reviewing Mario
Wonder.
like
Yeah.
officially. I'm more likely to review Spider-Man, but I don't really do a lot of reviews, so probably not.
Yeah. I'm not really a review channel. We'll talk about it on the podcast, but that'll be like the closest you'll get to a review from my side of things.
We're gonna do a review.
It depends how I
I
feel in the
might.
morning.
It
So
depends how
RGT
much-
might.
Yeah, I
might.
might. It's just I got a lot of shit going on right now, so
Who's going to be playing it in 14 minutes?
I might.
I'm gonna be sleeping at 14. I have my
Well,
kid.
they won't even send me the code until like 9 a.m. or something. So
Mine game's already ready because I didn't get it physically. I got
It's
it
like this is a
digitally.
question for RGT.
yeah, this is the RGT question here. Do you think CM Punk comes back to the WWE?
No.
RGT is looking at breasts.
No, I'm playing Wayne Gretzky 3D hockey on the D007.
Well, you should be looking
Well-
at breasts.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he will. I think he has too many. He needs to just kind of
issues.
fuck off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got a lot of problems.
he's a giant
Men-
fucking man child, but like not in the.
I don't
Like,
think he's
decent
right in the
way.
head, to be honest. Something's going on.
Something's going
Ego.
on.
Maybe he's just always been this way. This is
He
it's who
has.
is.
He's
Yeah.
always had a fucking holier than thou ego.
Yeah, I don't. He was entertaining for a small bit until it just all went to shit. To be honest, for me, anyways. Chris Gonzalez wants us to change his mind that Shane McMahon is a top 10 wrestler, like all time. What are we
the
talking
fuck are
about?
you? What are you talking about? He's a
He was never
stuntman.
really.
He jumps off of high stuff. The last
Yeah.
time you saw him, he blew out his fucking leg at WrestleMania. Name a memorable match that he had that was because of the match itself and not because of a stunt. Can't do it.
Yeah, or because of like the storyline reason, right? Like,
You could even do story like against Kane. That was the most interesting storyline where Kane fucking electrocuted his testicles on Raw. That was
Yeah,
cool.
that was dude. That was pretty
caught my
sweet.
attention.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
maybe I
that
should
was
give
pretty cool.
wrestling a chance.
So change your mind. Well, if you think he's a top 10 wrestler, I don't think there's anything we can say that's going to change your mind. But
Yeah.
then your top 10, I'm guessing, is pretty weak. Pretty
I
out
mean,
there.
Like having a guy that got his testicles electrocuted, I feel like that's worthy of a top 10. I feel like he earned his place. I mean,
There are moments
I
that like he
respect the
really
shit out of
works in the storylines and stuff, but like he's not a good in-ring performer.
Yeah, his punches are fucking have you ever seen the man throw a punch? Look at the punches he threw on Randy Orton back in like 2014. They're fucking legendary because of how bad they look.
Yeah, dude. Even when you have good wrestlers trying to sell it, it just didn't. No,
He is a
he's just so bad.
he's a decent stunt man.
yeah,
but
crazy
okay,
stunts are fine.
Take away the fact that his father ran the company. Would he have been
Yeah.
a wrestler? No.
No.
You know, he doesn't have the talent or charisma.
Yeah, the storyline only ever worked because of his dad, anyways. So, let's see here. Kool-Aid 3 said Nintendo debuted the first successful hybrid handheld console. Will competitors follow in the coming gens, and will Nintendo ever go back? Why or why not?
doesn't seem
No.
like anyone's going to
I don't-
follow for a while.
I mean,
Nah.
besides handheld PCs, but that's a different market.
Yeah, I think that the Switch made the like Steam Deck / ROG Ally / 7000 INEOs market emerge, but in terms of like Microsoft or Sony, nah, I don't see them. The only thing you're going to get is the Portal, which is a good dinner plate.
Well, I mean, and they have all their
I will,
all their
I
stuff
will
is
say
streaming.
one thing. There's a lot more hope for Sony now that Jim Ryan's going to be out.
I don't
They
think
could-
so.
You think they're going to make a hybrid though?
No.
Like he specifically said, hybrid handheld console.
I don't
Not
think.
Yeah, I
just
they're
don't think
handheld.
Sony
making
doing
it.
that. Good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think you got the Portal, and that's all you get. I
And
think
it- you know
all
what's
these
funny?
companies have moved on from it.
You know what's funny is that the Portal actually sold out too. I wonder if a bunch of people think it's like a actual portable PlayStation. They're going to get it home and be like, wait a second,
A
It
lot of people, even the people that know what it is, don't fully understand how it works.
I
Like,
could
so
say
many
this.
people think you have to be on your own on the same Wi-Fi in your house for it to work.
We
It can be anywhere.
we
you
don't
can
know
be on
the
any
pre-order numbers on it, right? Like it could have just been a really low run.
Yeah.
Maybe it might not be like Sony
I'm-
might
I
know it's
pre-ordered
not a
it.
big deal. Like they
We
might
took
just
5,000 orders. Have a good day. We sold out. Good headline.
It's like this is going to be a huge exaggeration, but like when the Xbox Series S sold out in Japan, like when it first came out, how many were
Yeah.
there?
How many-
2. Wow! Holy crap! They're
But
making a
to be
comeback.
fair, it was like 25. But still.
didn't Wii U sell like one system the other day?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
used,
Yeah.
like, who bought that? I
Yeah, that
wonder-
was like that was some headlines for that. Like there was a brand new Wii U sitting in a store somewhere.
I would probably do it. Like if I
Probably
was just like,
someone wanted
stop
to
it.
It had to be like in their inventory in the back, and an employee found it and was like, "Oh my god, can I buy this?" And they just let them.
Yeah, you could literally flip that thing, an unopened brand new Wii U.
Yeah,
I gotta empty the whole beer.
Yeah, it might be a good deal.
Yeah, that's probably a great deal. But yeah, I don't think there's going to be like anyone serious in like the console space. You know, I kept thinking like if a new company came in, like if Apple tried to come in with something.
They got phones
Um,
though.
But yeah, no, they do have the phones. It's like there's been rumors on Apple game consoles forever, and nothing's really ever came out of it. So I just can't think of anyone who. Here's the thing. Obviously, there's a big market. It's just, can that market get bigger than it currently is? And is there room for somebody else to even come in? And do you think that company could take it away from Nintendo's? Like we've had so many, if you just look at handheld gaming on its own, all these companies have tried to compete with Nintendo over the years, and all of them went away from actually doing that. Even Sony's attempt, you know, they tried for a couple gens and then they dipped out. It's really hard to compete against a company that has such a lock on a very specific base. I mean, just look at how much Xbox has struggled to gain meaningful ground on Sony. They've been trying for generations, and outside of one, and it was the one that Sony messed up real bad at the beginning.
which Sony ended up.
They ended
back
up ahead
on
in the
top.
end, anyways. But I would say they probably still consider that a successful generation for them. You know,
Sure.
yeah. So it's interesting. Like if they're struggling to compete against, you know, directly with Sony in like a similar sort of field, I don't know that anyone thinks they're gonna be able to touch Nintendo in the hybrid field. And what's crazy, I think, about the hybrid field is I honestly think there's a long future ahead for a hybrid system. Pretty much, I mean, I could see it being there all the way until cloud gaming takes over, to be honest.
100%.
Or until the sun blows up.
Well,
That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that too.
tech's only gonna get better and just make it more versatile. Like,
yeah,
I will
definitely not
not
going
be
more
on.
feature rich.
I will not be on board with cloud gaming until it's exactly like having the native hardware
Yeah.
in your home.
Yeah,
Mhm.
There is no. Oh, it's just a little bit of latency. My ass is
No.
just a little bit. I want no latency, and until I could get that naked in the mountains, I am not on.
the
board with
idea
cloud
that
gaming.
for cloud that I would be reliant on.
you offer me that fully clothed, not interested. I need
What-
the clothes to be
yeah,
off.
you need to be.
This
yeah,
is
you
the-
need to be streamlined.
The only reason I don't know if cloud gaming will ever fully take over is just because it relies on ISPs and it relies on electricity. And
Mhm.
the thing is, those aren't always reliable, as everyone knows. You have power outages. You have obviously internet outages all the time. Even when you're on fiber, it still happens.
Data caps.
Data caps. Like
Which are
in some
garbage.
countries, they have data caps for everything in
Yeah.
some countries. So even if you have fiber, it doesn't really matter. You're just going to run out of data even faster.
I hope it never takes over.
Well, the other thing is that
So that
like,
might prevent it from taking
we're
over.
looking at it from the
Good.
perspective as Americans, right? Like we're looking at technology kind of catching up here in America where technology is pretty good. There are other parts of the world where they game, but like this idea of like constant internet access,
Yeah.
it's
that's on top.
even more of a
There's even
stretch.
parts of the U.S. like that, honestly.
But there's
Yeah,
parts of Europe
parts
where
of the US like
their
that.
internet bodies are internet. Like they have insanely fast.
In Japan,
speeds.
bodies are internet too.
and
but-
there's certain.
yeah.
Sorry,
dense
there's certain
populace.
places in the states that they're getting faster speeds than other parts too. So it's look, I'm fine with it. I like having my games local on my SSD or whatever micro SD card. I'm good. Keep cloud gaming in the cloud for a very long time and out of my hands.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Then
Yeah.
will Nintendo ever go back
Nope.
I got
Honestly,
some thoughts on this.
unless somebody comes and starts to really push them out of it, I don't see them. And even them go back, Nintendo will probably try to invent its own market again somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't really see it happening. I think Nintendo's kind of really positioning themselves to kind of have this incredible growth. Like you look at the Mario Bros movie, if they start doing more movies, like they're going to kind of continue to build up their brand. You have the parks. They're kind of I talked about this earlier, right? But like their ecosystem of game development, they are sitting on games. They are taking more time with more games and making them better. So they're making more games, better games. They're making movies, expanding their reach. They're expanding the parks. Like I think Nintendo has this trajectory. Like even if Switch 2 doesn't do better than Switch 1, like if we look at this from a larger scale perspective, like I think Nintendo has this upward trajectory. So this idea that they might be at any point in the foreseeable future, like going to get to a point where they have to kind of like dial it back, I don't think that's likely. That said, you look at the Switch and you look at what we think the Switch 2 will be, they do have a scenario where they can have like different versions of the system, right? So we have the Switch Lite that's handheld only. I'm not saying it's likely, but like I think maybe your best bet of Nintendo going back is just having an alternative Nintendo system that comes out mid-gen that's maybe only like for the TV that sports like better visuals, or it's maybe like a cheaper
Hey,
only
did
system.
that. Sony
PlayStation
did that.
TV.
Yeah, with the Vita, they did that. Yeah. I just that's what I love about the Switch is the fact that it's a hybrid, and especially like I'm kind of reiterate what I said before. If they give me ROG Ally performance with better than Switch battery life, like by 2 hours, I'll be fully on board and be solely playing on the Switch 2 if they give me that. So
Yeah.
I don't really see a reason for them to go back to a conventional console. They should keep where they're, because this has been their most successful piece of hardware ever, I believe, right?
Close.
It's getting
well,
there.
Well, if you combine software and hardware together, it is.
Yeah, it's the second best selling Nintendo system of all time. It's got to catch the DS.
But the software sales are the highest ever.
For let me for home, because it is technically a home console.
They call it a home console.
Yeah.
Yeah, the most successful home console. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't see why you would change that. And most consumers, including me, I don't want them to change that formula. If I want a powerful home system, there's other options to go to. I want that hybrid experience.
Those other companies would have to go out of business and stop making them for me to even, because then Nintendo would be like, oh, there's a market there. And then they would just, that would be going back, where maybe they have a handheld and a home console, or maybe it just benefits them and more people just buy what they have and play it at home. Yeah,
well, let me ask another question at the risk of delaying this podcast from ending. Will any of the three companies bow out ever?
Microsoft, I could see.
I would say I was about to say, even with what happened with the acquisition, it would be Microsoft I would see first.
Microsoft might just go straight services and try to get them on everything else.
Right.
Like it would just be like the higher ups just deciding, hey, this is not worth it.
Well, and then Phil Spencer, when they were having like the hearings, he was like being such an Xbox boner killer, saying if this deal doesn't go through, there may not be an Xbox. Like, yeah, that sure makes me confident to go out and buy your hardware, Phil.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's because I think they were thinking about selling it off.
They're
not making money.
Well, I bet you they probably, like, the lawyers, and I'm sure they had a board meeting, and they said, like, is it worth damaging the Xbox brand by saying it won't exist? Is that worse than not getting the deal to go through? They're like, no, the deal is more important. All right, damage the Xbox brand. It's fine. Like,
I mean, the deal is just going to make them straight profits, make them all their money back anyways, eventually. So,
well, that's why they were like, well, if we say something bad about Xbox, it's worth it to get the acquisition, is what I worded it wrong.
And we had one last person chime in here. Just wanted to say that they went with Spider-Man 2, but cheers to the Mario launch. Which, I don't care what you guys play. I'm going to be playing Spider-Man 2, Mario Wonder, and Sonic Superstars all within the next 3 weeks. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
And I feel you, man. Games are expensive.
Yeah,
they're expensive as hell.
There's people like Eric over here who's not going to buy anything. We're not going to. Hey, he's still playing an old game, and games are expensive. I can get to it when I'm done with whatever you're playing. There's people I know still playing Elden Ring right now. There's people.
That'd be me.
Yeah, like
I still have to play it. I haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah,
yet.
for how much you're like, oh, you mentioned earlier, I like From Software, and then I'm like, but you're not playing like arguably their best game.
No, I will play it. I just haven't gotten around to it. This year's just been a hectic year for me.
I think it's one of those things that maybe you're afraid to start because what if it takes you away?
I'm
much.
keeping my Bloodborne
Too
blue
much.
balls until they
What if it
remaster
just
it or
sucks
remake
you
it.
in
Oh, it will.
and doesn't let go for like a
It-
month?
That's what'll happen.
That's the kind of game it is. Like, yeah,
I know.
It sucks. you in.
Honestly, if they save that for the PS5 Pro launch and like a remastered Bloodborne that could take advantage of the Pro,
Oh,
that would be fucking
They
crazy.
might,
Did you just explode in your pants?
Yeah, but yeah, I just have to ruin my pants
What about
because
just
of that. But here's
Bloodborne
the
See what you
thing.
guys
Sorry,
didn't
that was
see
a
is
clean way to phrase that, you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah,
I would just
it
take
was.
Bloodborne
I
too.
nutted in my pants clean. That's actually all kidding aside, though. Like, think about a selling point. Like, hey, you want to
Exactly.
best version of the Bloodborne? Play it on the PS5 Pro at 4K, 120 hertz.
Yeah,
with
that
ray
would be
tracing.
huge. That would be great for marketing for sure.
Yeah,
this is not so low key, but I am kind of waiting to have Switch 2 announced and see what third party games are coming. Because imagine they announce Elden Ring for Switch 2. I'm probably playing it on that.
It needs to be on Switch too.
it's
better.
gonna be on. I would shave my beard and my ass if it's not on Switch 2.
There we go. We've all got shaving bets out
I
there.
mean,
right now.
can you imagine next year Switch 2 gets announced and there's Monster Hunter, there's Elden Ring, there's Resident Evil 4 Remake, there's 3D Mario and Metroid Prime 4? Like, I would
It has to be. It has
die
to
of
be because the
happiness.
iPhone 15 Pro, the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, they're going to be playing AAA games. Like, so they have to have like those games for the next Switch. That's why do you think Apple caved and got the AAA games on here? Because they see what like the Steam Deck and all those other consoles, they want a piece of that pie.
Because we haven't gotten the DLC for Elden Ring yet, that gives me hope that they'd be willing to go back and bring that to Switch 2.
Well, I mean, they have Demon Souls remastered on the Switch, so there's that.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait.
Well,
they don't
Dark
have-
Souls.
Dark
Dark
Souls.
Souls, yeah, they're not Demon
Demon
Yeah.
Souls was on a PS5.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's
Yeah.
delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's good. All right. Well, I think that's gonna wrap up the show here. We'll just go around the room quick. Tell people where they can find you guys, and yeah, I guess that there's not much more to say. Now I will start with again, just going right next to me with Review Horse USA.
I am Review Tech USA on YouTube. So I'm also at the Real RTU on Twitter, where I'm definitely a professional and don't rap about horses. And that's it. That's it. Because I'm an idiot and I don't.
He might have dropped a sample of a beat right before the show.
Yeah, he's been
Right
making some music, producing some music.
Yeah, no, because the one I'm working on is not ready yet. And the other, you could actually go to my music channel. Like if I could put a link in the description, it'll take me 3 seconds. But you could go on to the next person. I can drop the link. Yeah.
Yeah, we can get it linked up for you.
Oh, take your time.
Take your time. Why? Because everybody knows who you are, Andres.
Probably. Well, I mean, maybe I shouldn't be so presumptuous. You might have new viewers that haven't seen me before. It's
Yeah, you never know.
Here's
never
my
know.
finished enough music, which I still think some of the mixes could be better, but I have other stuff I'm working on. And that's it. I'll shut up now.
That's it. I'll shut up now. All right, Andres Restart. Where can they find you, man?
You can find me at Andres Restart. I make videos about Nintendo pretty much every day. Pretty much on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter as well, so you can try to bother me. But yeah,
Bother you.
yeah. Nintendo
All right.
speculation every day.
Every day.
That's fun.
Mr. 2-inch, how's it going?
Hey.
You still got that stream coming here in a couple days?
Yeah, so you can find me on YouTube or Twitter, X, whatever. It's just Jake Randall. OnlyFans is 2-inch Destroyer. But Saturday on YouTube, I'm gonna be streaming for like 12 hours straight to do a full playthrough of The Quarry, except the chat gets to vote on every decision. It's like a choose your own adventure kind of game. So every time there's a choice, there's a poll, and
That's
the
badass.
chat gets to choose. And then every hour on the hour during the playthrough, I'm going to give away a brand new PS5 game. So I'm going to be giving away like 12 PS5 games total. I'm going to give away some other kind of cool stuff too in between. But we did that stream a couple years ago with Until Dawn, and it was really fun. So doing it again.
Nice. We got RGT over there, man. Where can they find you? What you got going on? You're muted. Muted.
RG, you're muted.
Muted, buddy.
You're a muted man. Shave your beard now.
Still muted. Whoa.
I'm going to
double
buy your.
muted.
He's
I'm
double
going
muted.
to buy your
85.
goddamn book right now.
He's got it. See, your whole hardware didn't die like mine did, right? Now I got to call in a warranty.
For some
$1,000.
reason, it turns off my mic and then it switches to a different mic in the
Oh, yeah,
setting.
that's dumb. Yeah.
You can find me in your local trash can looking for scraps of food, or on
Probably.
RT85 anywhere
So-
on the internet.
So they'll find you with Quantum, is what you're saying.
Yeah, probably.
No problem. I'm gonna review a TV with him next, aren't you? It's all right. Cool to admit. Eric,
No,
I'd
don't
ask
forget
where
you
they
can
could
get-
find you.
Wait,
But,
wait. You're not giving it clean. We
What-
gotta
what-
gotta plug RGT's book one more time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Check out
Sega
the book.
32X book that you can buy on Amazon.
I
How
literally
long did it
just
take you to
bought,
write
Dude,
that?
I
By
will
the way,
I will go grab a link to that right now.
I literally just bought the book now, you bastard.
I would
All
like
right,
the whole
that's giving it clean.
process.
Isn't that a nice way to say it? I'm a sweet guy. Here, I'll
The
put
whole
link in
process only took like 6 months, 7 months. I want to say.
Dude, I gotta get off my ass, write a book or something.
you're
I just-
still
I
making videos at the same time, right? Like that. That was just
Yeah,
kind of like a side
But I mean,
project.
I was already full time on YouTube, so it was fine as far as time management was concerned. But yeah, like just you come up with an idea and you do it, and then you have someone who's efficient at helping you as far as conceptualizing it into an actual book. And Amazon, it's super easy to publish a book on there if you just use their program. So that's what I did. I didn't do it to make money. Like I never thought I was gonna be rich off this. That's just what I wanted to do.
Listen,
It's
you
one
wrote a
hair on
book.
my ass.
Listen, you made a book about the 32X to buy a house in the Hamptons. Don't lie.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Buy the Lamborghini house in the Hamptons, all from a 32X book.
God damn right.
Yeah. All right, Eric, are you alive? Now remember, when you unmute it, it takes like a few seconds before it kicks in.
The floor is yours. sir.
Welcome to a mic I bought.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm here. That's where you can find me. That's about it.
Just here.
Where is
Just here.
here? Where is
On the
here?
podcast. You
Is
know
it,
where
is
I'm
it,
at.
is it
No.
somewhere or is it nowhere?
Jocelyn, that
If
would
your
be like
neighbor
writing a
curves a
Bible,
cowardly dog.
New and Old Testament.
Yeah, I am everywhere and nowhere at once. Ooh,
You were the all. You were the not. Got it.
God. No, I'm here on the podcast pretty much every week, except for last week when I was sick. So
Don't ever get sick again, or you're fired too.
much. I talk too much anyway. So
Exactly. That's my
Yeah, it also doesn't help. He has like the absolute worst microphone I have in my whole house. I'm opposite Nintendo Prime. You guys know what's up with that. This is the Nintendo Prime podcast. You can catch it on my channel usually every Wednesday at 8 p.m. We'll adjust things for certain guests like we did today. We had to let Sean watch AEW because priorities. But yeah, we do it every single week. We have the audio version go up every single week as well. We're everywhere podcasts are heard except Google because you can no longer use the Google Podcast app. That being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I think I have an outro thing that
Bill
plays
Gates
for
will
like
be
10
here next
seconds.
week. I heard.
Oh yeah. See, the guests are only going to get bigger.
I'm gonna take a break.
We'll get Bill Gates. Maybe. No, you know what? What I was
Yeah.
going to say might get me canceled. So let's just go to the
Yeah, let's
outro.
not go there.